broken baker, where crimes are baked in every show. Mysteries rise and truth unfolding. Ready, set, it's time to go. We say it's time to go. Whistling truth, battering news, mixing stories, solving the lies. In this kitchen, secrets are broken, with a spark in our eyes. In the broken baker's kitchen, the secrets crumble, lies don't rise. We'll sift through clues to find the news, with a spark in our eyes. The broken rise, broken rise. Welcome to the broken baker. Get ready. Let's go.
I'm Jimmy. How y'all doing?
The most important people in this case that everybody seems to have forgotten in this room is the jury. So we're going to take a 15-minute break and both sides take a pregnant pause and think about the jury.
Hello. Welcome back. Done eating. Now we're ready to go carve up some cookies so we can get back to the all-important divorce case. You can come by and clean my house too, Tisha. It needs it. Yay. But I will do the magic and be in the other room in a few seconds. So you get
In the land of pixels and streams, there's a jolly figure, or so it seems, with a belly round and a heart so grand. He's the YouTube grifter, the joy of the land. Oh, he's as fast as Santa, but he comes all year, bringing laughter, joy, and a bit of cheer. Not just once in December, but every single day. Our YouTube grifter in his own special way. He's got a knack for stories, both wild and true. With a twinkle in his eye, he'll entertain you. From baking fails to epic wins, he's the gift that keeps on giving. Let the fun begin. Oh, he's as fat as Santa, but he comes all year, bringing laughter, joy, and a bit of cheer. Not just once in December, but every single day. Our YouTube grifter in his own special way. He's got around your screens, and don't be shy. He's got a tale to tell and a pie in the sky. With every click and every view, he's spreading holiday spirit just for you. Oh, he's as fat as Santa, but he comes all year, bringing laughter, joy, and a bit of cheer. Not just once in December, but every single day. Our YouTube grifter in his own special way. So here's to the grifter, our digital friend. May his joy and laughter never end. With a ho, 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 and a hearty cheer. Merry Christmas to all and a Happy New Year.
maybe I should unmute. You can talk better when you unmute. So we now have our cookies who's been in the fridge, which makes them nice and hard. The audio should be back now. Audio back, audio not back. I think audio's back. Yeah, it was because I forgot to, but this one was our pearl sugar one. Take a a knife. I like to put a little flour on it because, again, there's a lot of fat in this one, so it'll get a little sticky. But you just cut it out in however thick you like them. I like them like 6 inches. Again, that's something you will figure out how you like yours. And again, there's a lot of fat in them, so they should kind of melt out a little bit. And as you can see, this portion it's not that big, but it'll give you enough cookies to last till Christmas if you don't eat too many at a time. When you roll the roll before you put it in the fridge, you can also, if you don't like the size they're getting, you can make it bigger, smaller, whatever you like. Just feel your way. These one, as I said, were the one that's has the pearl sugar that you called sanding sugar, maybe. Yes, Dictionary Diva. So just to make them a little more interesting, right now they'll taste like vanilla, which can be fine, but, and I know you Americans would like this, I'm gonna put a little, this is just a egg I beat up. So a little bit of egg on them, make them nice and brown when they're baked. You stay there. Boom, 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 boom. And here in Denmark, when it's winter, when it's Christmas, we eat a lot of rice porridge, and on the top of the rice porridge, we put cinnamon mixed with sugar, so you get the sweet and cinnamon flavor. So I'll just give a little helping of that. Don't tell Will from Brimley about this because it will be all the diabetes. But just to give it a little bit of that Christmas smell, we need a little cinnamon. And then chuck it in the oven. Okay, Google, sæt timer til 8 minutter. And then I'll start out. I'm at 180 degrees Celsius, which is roughly translated to a diesel truck in American temperatures. It's I can't do the math, but that was the first one. Now we have the spiral one, and you just do the same again. Find a thickness to your liking. And these cakes are so easy that I don't bake. I can't figure it out. Hey, Diva, it's not that hard. And you can make it, do it with your kids. You could even bring Volstorm into the bakery. Look how nice it is. You can, yeah, the recipe, if you want it, is in Discord. I have a subsection just for my recipes in the Discord. And again, just to make them taste a little bit like Christmas, I'm gonna give them cinnamon as well, because it's just vanilla cookies, so they don't taste like anything. Even though there's a little bit of cocoa in this one, let's make them taste like Christmas, at least. And when putting sugar on top of it, it makes it a little crunchy as well, so it'll give a nice mouthfeel. And how it feels in the mouth is very important, as the ladies will tell you. And last but not least, we have the chocolate orange chip thingies. And remember, when you're cutting, put your hands like this and slide it down, because then you won't take off your fingers. But I'll just slide right along, and you can just guide it. And trust me, I have cut my hands more than I should have. But as we say in Denmark, what do we say? Emergency teaches a naked woman to make clothes. Why we say it, don't think about it. It's just a Danish saying. We have a lot of them. It's not very visually pleasing when I do stuff off camera, but it's super easy. Again, time in total, 30 minutes to prepare it, 3 hours in the fridge where you are cleaning something, doing something else, and then I start out baking them 180 degrees for, it depends on your oven. You can't really say how much you need, but I always start with 8 minutes. That's probably a good, but you know your own oven better than I do. And again, a little bit of egg on top, so it'll be nice and brown. This one I won't put cinnamon on because it has chocolate and hopefully a little bit of orange flavor to it. So I see Kenwood mixers are designed in the UK. Yours was so quiet. We have so many KitchenAid mixers here because they are built in Ohio. Yeah, I talked about it in a previous baking stream. Yeah, I know I don't bake enough on camera. But I really like the Kenwood. I feel like you get a really good product. For all around products, I would say the Kenwood is the best machine. You can get one that's a specific, I don't think you can get in the US. It's called an Akersun. It's an old Danish machine that the Swedes bought the rights to. That's really great if you want to do like what we call Italian doughs, heavy on the water content, because it's a really good bread maker, but I don't. It's like $1,100 for one of those. So I'm very happy. This one I was gifted by my chat, so I was lucky that when I went out to buy it, it was even on sale, so it fit perfectly with the money that I got for my birthday. So I was lucky, but I've always loved Kenwood. I had Discord is free, yes. Try to exclamation point Discord. I don't know if the chat bot is set up to share, but the link is coming into the chat every now and again by the Discord, by the chat bot. I've set it up so it shares a link every 45 to 60 minutes or something. So you can just hit the Discord link, go into Discord, and people might ask you and say, hey, if you have another Discord name than you have a YouTube name, say what would you or what's your name on YouTube, and then you'll be given a role so you can be there. Hey, Jewel. It's a mix between a Danish and Swedish company, but he would never agree to that. No, it's a Danish company that made so great machines that they never got to sell any spare parts, so that's why they went bankrupt. And then the Swedes came in and stole it. Nightbroad is broken. It should. Well, it'll automatically give it to you at some point. I haven't figured out how to set up so you can trigger it, but there will be an automatic. I have like 2 commands running right now. Please like and subscribe, and the other one is if you want to join the Discord. Okay, Google, stop. Okay, Google, stop. Okay, Google, sæt alarm til 2 minutter. And you perfected it by making it so it broke down, so you can sell it. Go Giants. Yeah, hopefully they'll beat the Dallas Cowboys tonight. If everything pans out, I will be streaming until they start, and then I can go to bed watching Giants lose another game, because, hey, who's tanking this season? We are. Are the Lions playing? The Lions should be playing at 10:30, I think Jamie said. No, I don't have Alexa. I don't like those products. I have Google. But I just took it and switched it around in the oven, because even though they say it's the hot air oven will circulate it, it's not that good. So always just check, but you know your oven better than I do. No, Giants Cowboys won't be stressful this year, because the Giants is tanking after Daniel Jones. Well, they should be tanking after Daniel Jones left. I don't know what. Wait, what's that? I'm reading chat while I'm. Who is Shabushi and why is he doing the halftime show? I don't know what is. Yeah, the Cowboys is tanking too. It's going to be a 0-0 game where they just keep running the wrong way. Okay, stop. Okay, stop. Okay, Google, set timer to 8 minutter. Voila! Now you have Your Christmas cookies. Isn't that easy? Now they just have to cool down, and then you put them in an airtight tin, and then they'll last. Well, it depends on how much cake you eat, but they'll last a long time. Oh, forgot this one. Yeah, it smells like Christmas. And again, it's a super simple recipe. You have 4 ingredients to make the dough, and then you can do whatever you want with it. You can make it into a chocolate dough, or you can make it like this with sugar, or the other one that's kind of like circles. It's really easy, Rachel. There's nothing can go wrong in this one. This is, I like to do, when I do the baking streams, I like to use what I'll call like base doughs, where it's so easy, but the result is good. And if you're not used to baking, you don't need to know how to do I don't know, macaron or something like that. You need to learn how to do something that can't go wrong, and this can't go wrong because again, it's 4 simple ingredients. You just have to combine it. Do they go in the fridge or freezer? These one, you put them in and I put them in a cake tin, and then I put a piece of parchment to cover the so when you put the lid on, it's airtight, and you just leave them out at room temperature. That's the only thing. Hjalte Froholt is actually from my town. I met him at my gym 2 years ago. My buddy played in the same club as he did. The all-time best, Morten Andersen, best kicker ever in... no, not Andersen. His name is Andersen. Best kicker ever. No, Vinatieri isn't that great. Just for everyone who's starting to say it. But no, this is what I'll call basic baking. And basic baking is the best if you don't bake any day. You'll make... This is... I don't know if any of you... in Denmark, we have sugar policies, so we can't send cake in school with our kids. Or you can take it to your work, or you can make these 3 different kinds out of the same dough, and you can do a little gift pack for your neighbors or someone. That's I think if you can make the basics, you don't need all the flashy stuff to begin with. And people would rather have a good, simple cookie or cake or bread than they want all of this. That's why I hated that show from, was it New Jersey? The guy who did all those fancy cakes. It looks good, but it has no taste. It's it's such a waste. You like the name Hjalte? It's not a name you hear much anymore in Denmark. I made so many mashed potatoes, I can't even pick them up to drain the pot. I love mashed potatoes. Yeah, simple cookies, but yeah, Cake Boss hated that program because it showed you, it's kind of like the Great British Bake Off and all of these shows. They'll show you to make these very ambitious cakes, and it's kind of like going to the gym with that body who can live at McDonald's and then still lose weight. You lose your motivation because I can't do that, so I must be wrong. I should just as well give up. No. Go back to the basics. I think you should have in your arsenal, you should have 1 one bread or one bread dough that you can use to make. I like to make pizza buns to put in the freezer back when the kids were younger, so they could go to take them to school. That same dough I can make like sausage rolls, or I can make a sweet dough cake from them. So that's a basic yeast dough. Then I have a normal crumble dough you can use for pies or whatever you like. Then this for a Christmas cake, and I have some chocolate chip cookies that works every time. And you don't need more in your arsenal, because imagine inviting your mother-in-law over for a cup of coffee, and she's that one snarky one who always said, "Oh, you had to buy your cake." And you whip out these, and it doesn't take time. The longest time you waste on this is the 3 hours they are in the fridge. So if you make them, put the dough together in the morning. She's over there at 2 for a cup of coffee. You take them out of the fridge at 1:30, cut them out, put them on the plate. They'll be done when she walks in the door. Whipped potatoes. Oh, sounds good. No, cream cheese. Never. Yeah, we have very, and it's also very native to our countries. Yours is very Swedish and mine is very Danish. So yeah. Sourdough, I would never put a sourdough in your basic repertoire, because a sourdough takes skill. It's a very temperamental dough. It's, if you have your 4 basics, if you can make a loaf of bread, if you can make birthday buns, if you can make a cake, if you can make a pie, then I would say you can go on and try and do the fancy stuff. But if you don't have those on lockdown, you should never touch the sourdough. Is very temperamental. It's great. I just had a sourdough pizza for dinner. It's a great tasting dough, because it has all of that. The enzymes have had a long time to start and give the flavor to the dough, but it's very temperamental. So I'd never say it's one of those you must have. Okay, Google, stop. Okay, Google, stop. Okay, Google, stop. Okay, Google, set timer to 3 minutter. He says that as I look at 2 pies I bought. Well, maybe I could teach you how to make an easy pie. I like a simple banana, not a banana pie, a simple apple pie. And again, the biggest problem is people are thinking it's going to take me a long time and it's going to be so hard. No, most of it, again, if you do basic, it'll taste just as good as if you buy it in a store. I'm not a big fan of store-bought cakes, but you can make it easy at home. Which folder is the recipe in on Discord? It's called recipe. What's my name? It's Baker. I don't sling my name around, so I have been doxxed by Pernilla many a time. No, she's nice. She sends me presents, but it wasn't. I'm very easy to find. That's why I don't do it. Sourdough is a pain in the butt. It is, especially if you live in a climate that's very. If you can't control it right, it can be very troublesome. Yes, the recipe is in the folder called recipe. I like a good loaf of sourdough. The problem is a lot of times the crust will get so hard it's very hard to eat. Made my first apple pie the other week and it wasn't pretty, but it tasted amazingly. Yeah, and if you make the first one, you'll learn, oh, I need to do that. Oh, maybe I could do this. And then you make your next one and it's a little better, but it'll still taste great. And then when you get a few repetitions under your belt, you'll think, oh, it's not that hard and it tastes amazing no matter how it looks. And all of a sudden, you can do all the things where you kind of braid the outer rim and all the fancy stuff. But what I've been trying to talk when we do this, the few baking streams I've done, is you just need 4 doughs in your repertoire, and then you can make 20 different cakes. And by just having 4 doughs to think about, and then say, okay, I'm going to use it for this today, or I'm going to use it to that, you'll always make the right dough, and it'll always work. Love a good Black Forest gatto. Yeah, that's normally not something. That's a bit too much for me. Okay, Google, stop. Okay, Google, stop. I wish I had smell-o-vision right now because these smells like orange and chocolate. Oh, I can't wait for these to cool down. And our little spirals. Look, easy peasy, lemon a squeezy. That's hot. Oh, your Google understand Danish. Don't be weird. Your first name isn't going to do you harm. Well, my last name is really it's easy to figure out, and I don't want to go to when someone starts using my first name, because then I have to go back to remind myself that that's not my name online. So oh, ow. And I actually never ever used my first name. I think the only people who use my first name today is well, my mom isn't here anymore. She also had, well, she was mad at me. My ex-wife uses it. She's also mad at me. And my nephews and niece use it, but they'll put an uncle in front of it. Hey, Maria said, thank you so much. I try to do it the best way I can, and it seems like some people like it, and I'm happy you liked it, and thank you so much for the nice words. Ouchie, ouchie. Ouchie. Back when I was working in bakeries, it didn't hurt this much. That's because when you don't work with hot stuff enough, you start to get what we call peen skin on the fingers. Why? It's just something we bakers say. Ta-da! Again, it doesn't take that long. It doesn't demand that many ingredients. If you have a machine, you can whip it together in, I don't know, what did it take? 5 minutes? And then you can add the cocoa to make the spirals, or you can add the chocolate to make them chocolate chip, or you can just keep it plain. And with a little skill, you can have that over and done in, I would say, 20-minute max to make the dough, add the ingredients, and you can add. This is a standard vanilla cookie. We call them cookies. I don't know if you call them cookies, these small ones, but it's a standard nothing vanilla thing. So if you want to put, someone said chili, chocolate, orange, I think that could be good, but you can add whatever you like. You could put cinnamon in them. You could, whatever you like. It's a standard, easy to do, easy to make, and you can spice it any way you like. It's just adding it after the dough is finished. Give it a little twirl. Make sure it's good and equally put in there. And you have, I don't know how many it is, but it's enough for me for the rest of December. So, Peter, you don't know my name. Where the hell did you learn my name? Well, peanut butter. I haven't done much with peanut butter. So, yeah. Vanilla sugar isn't common here. Do we adjust the measurement if we use vanilla extract? Yes, because that's just this is vanilla sugar. It's just like a powdered sugar, kind of with vanilla flavor. If you want to get really fancy and you want to do the good old thing, you could use a real vanilla bar. But if you want to use extract, just give it a little dabble. It's not, again, make it what you like. Yes, I did say my name in one of my first streams, and then my brother came in, and his account is in our last name. If you have my last name, you will be able to find me no problem. Well, you probably even, if you really wanted to dox me, it's not that hard. But we are 17 people in the world with my last name, so if you have my first name and my last name, you'll have my address within 2 seconds. Not that I'm afraid any of you are going to dox me or show up here. Well, little D might do it someday. But it's just, it's nice not to, that you can put, what to say, you can kind of put it away for a second. Grab the wrong container, now he says Colombian marching powder. Yeah, I call it vanilla sugar, but in reality it's go-go powder. It's kind of like icing sugar with a little bit of vanilla flavor. It's you can just use an extract. Just don't overdo it, because that tastes a lot like vanilla. But I don't know how artificial yours are, but this is vanilla and sugar. So it's just sugar and a bit of a vanilla aroma. So it'll be the same as an extract. It's just, yeah. You wouldn't have well, I don't eat that much that much cake. Yeah, confectioner's sugar, I think you can call it too. So yeah, Maria said if you want, I have my Nightbot should be putting in the Discord link, and then if you're on Discord, you can get it. I have a sub folder in there called recipes with the things I baked online. So yeah, you can find little packets of vanilla sugar in European grocery stores. Internet has videos to make your own with vanilla pot and sugar for 1-2 weeks. Normally, if we use real vanilla, you'll scrape out the kernels and just turn it into a little bit of sugar. So it's more so it. One of the things, if you put in, like if you put in chocolate chip or vanilla or something like that, where it's solid, or if you're making a fruit cake and put fruit in, it'll have a tendency to settle on the bottom or just stay stuck. So if you dissolve it either in sugar or you take your apples or something and just put a little bit of flour on them, it's easier to mix into the dough and it won't settle on the bottom. Hey, Flux, happy Thanksgiving, and hope everything is fine. And you would look good with a what's her name? Tulsi? No, yeah, Tulsi streak. She was talking about she wanted a Tulsi streak the other day. I think that would look good on you. But I love your long what do you call them, ponytails? No, in Denmark it's rat tails. I don't know if the same in the English. But that was the baking part of the show. Let's get back to the divorce part of the show, and I will take one of each. So no, I'm gonna make me a cup of coffee in a bit, and then I have it with a coffee. I'll change La Studio. Just braids. Well, it's rat tails in Denmark. If you ever get over here and people are saying, "Hey, what are you wearing?" He's saying, "Yeah, what hair?" That's exactly how the women say it here. Just ask Pernilla. But let's do this again. Let's do this again. Come on. Oh, and by the way, I like that my baking machine works again. It's not as busted as the last time I tried to stream in here. Happy times.
In the land of pixels and streams, there's a jolly figure, or so it seems, with a belly round and a heart so grand. He's the YouTube grifter, the joy of the land. Oh, he's as fast as Santa, but he comes all year, bringing laughter, joy, and a bit of cheer. Not just once in December, but every single day. Our YouTube grifter in his own special way. He's got a knack for stories, both wild and true. With a twinkle in his eye, he'll entertain you. From baking fails to epic wins, he's the gift that keeps on giving. Let the fun begin. Oh, he's as fat as Santa, but he comes all year, bringing laughter, joy, and a bit of cheer. Not just once in December, but every single day. Our YouTube grifter in his own special way. He's got around your screens, and don't be shy. He's got a tale to tell and a pie in the sky. With every click and every view, he's spreading holiday spirit just for you. Oh, he's as fat as Santa, but he comes all year, bringing laughter, joy, and a bit of cheer. Not just once in December, but every single day. Our YouTube grifter in his own special way. So here's to the grifter, our digital friend. May his joy and laughter never end. With a ho, ho, ho and a hearty cheer. Merry Christmas to all and a Happy New Year.
Oh, we're back. Emanates, if you're on the Discord, the recipe is in the Discord. I didn't show it, I just said it. Someone put it in chat earlier. It's. Oh, you all chat too much. Where was the recipe? Someone put it in here. I missed that one. That was a layup. Why can't I find it? Someone shared the recipe, but I can't find it now. But I can go into my Discord and find it. This should be the Discord link. I hope it works. Then one of the moderators will have to allow you in there. So, well, if you're in there, it's there. Yeah, you were the one who typed in the recipe, but I can't find it now. Where the heck is it? And I can't search, so I can find it. I have to scroll the way back. Nina Canadian is, you said hashtag Baker's recipes. There it is. This is the recipe. I know it's in grams and it's a hard thing. I could weigh it, and I have a scale that can do ounces as well, because in my line of business, you need grams and ounces. But this is how, and the egg white, I didn't use egg white. I used a full egg. It's fancy stuff. Don't separate the eggs. Let all the good ones. Oh, that's my youngest name. Yeah, but I don't use my first name. I never use my first name with any of. I was known by the first 5 letters of my last name since I was 12 years old, I think. All my siblings have been called the same name. So I really don't use my first name. Yes. No, that's Nina Canadian who's too sweet, because she was the one who short. I don't know. How do I create these intros? Do you write the lyrics and then an app does the music? Yes, I write the lyrics. Then I have a program called Suno where you can put in. She does a lot of it, but you put in the lyrics and ask them what kind of style do you want, and sometimes it takes a lot of tries to get what you want. Because I said Christmas music, I don't feel it's that Christmassy, but I like it. It has a good bim, 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 bim. I like it when it has a good rhythm to it. And then I use my Canva. That's my software I use to make thumbnails and stuff like that. I use that to make the video and then add the music to the video. So I just like having new intros. Or some people have the same all the time, because then it's your channel. I like to change it out now and again. And but I put in my ideas in ChatGPT or one of the AI machines, and then I work with it until I find that the text work and that it has the correct. I like it where it might have a little double entendre, like he's fat like Santa, but comes every all year long, or all the year, however it goes. Think about it. And then I go to Suno, and sometimes you have you can make. I think you can make 5 free versions a day, and sometimes you get it in one try, and sometimes you have to go back a couple of days and try and put in and say Christmas, female singer, happy, all of this stuff. But I like it. Local cookies look like the Grandma Tin cookies. we had a stand-up comedian who made a joke about when people said, "Oh, you made these, they look homemade. You should sell them." I think homemade, you can taste the difference from homemade and store-bought, because homemade, there's a little bit of love in them. Yes, we are going to go right to it right now. And I'm going to go and turn off my laptop while you watch this. Yeah, this is AI generated. And again, sometimes it works real well. Sometimes it gets really stupid. But I feel I'm pretty good at hitting the tone I like for my channel. Yay! One of the mods will ask you what if they'll just allow you in. But I don't know if any mods are on duty right now. Yeah, and I like the little stupid things. Hopefully you can. We have fun on the Discord. I know especially Jemima and Jamie are fond of sitting in live chats in there. Jemima has her craft and chat tomorrow night. So come hang out. They have movie nights on Sundays and all this stuff. That's why his sack is full. You are absolutely right. Oh my. Oh my. Welcome back, Gina. I hope your friends were doing great. I'm going to turn this on, then I'm going to turn off my my Liberty laptop and make me a cup of coffee and try my cookies.
Holly, you may call your next witness.
Approved, Judge.
You have rebuttal proof to offer?
Your Honor.
I'll hear your argument.
It's an argument.
Your Honor, this case is a case of.
Come to the podium, please. It'll make it a little easier for me to hear you.
This case is just a divorce case of bruised egos. It has nothing to do with my parent being a bad mother or a neglectful mother. In fact, she's raised these kids for 8 years, almost by herself. As far as giggles and clams goes, we've heard proof today that she made an erroneous expenditure from the business account, the amount of $100, Your Honor. That is just not enough from counsel's perspective to take ownership of a business or the responsibilities of a business away from somebody when she has stated that she'll gladly put those funds back in. Mr. Valdez deliberately took $10,000 out of the account, requiring my client to go get a loan from a family member just to pay her employees. And so it's clear that Mr. Valdez does not know what he's doing as far as this business goes. And so that's why we're asking for the restraining order to be kept in place. She will happily account for all business expenditures and show proof, but she's been running it by herself since August of 2022, and to change things now might be catastrophic for the business. As far as a parenting plan goes, like I've said, 50-50 is more than reasonable. We want to maximize the children's time with both parents and not alienate them from either parent. My client will not do certain things that she's testified to any longer, and she'll make sure of that. But as far as the wine on a Monday night, she's not the only client that I have that does that still has full custody of their kids.
You have other clients that drink wine?
I do. But, Your Honor, we believe 50-50 to be more than fair. We're not trying to alienate Mr. Valdez from his kids. We just want my client to be entitled to her time with her kids as well. If Mr. Draper was put in a lineup, these kids wouldn't even be able to tell Your Honor who he is. So I don't think that Mr. Draper is the reason this court needs to hang its hat on not giving my client her fair share of custody. That's all.
Holly?
Well, I have a little different view from the testimony that I heard, Judge. What Ms. Valdez testified to was it was a fairly religious husband, wife, children, and nice house, white picket fence type relationship. Mrs. Valdez has then taken that, and in a simple divorce action, you have issues with your spouse, you move out, you go get a motel room, maybe you get an apartment, you work toward your best interest of the children, and you do it that way. Mrs. Valdez moved out, as you heard testimony, left, went immediately and used marital funds to spend the night with her boyfriend and consummated that relationship on that night. Rather proud of it. Then I heard somewhat testimony of being scared to death of Mr. Valdez and not knowing how to handle that. Goes back, stays with him for a week, and then enrolls the kids, in a school. Again, all preparing for this divorce. Mr. Valdez is trying to save his marriage at this point and trying to do anything possible for his wife and his children. Then Mrs. Valdez, admits today what's been going on is they drink 5, 6 nights out of the week, 2 or 3 drinks a night. She's got a convicted felon, someone who's had a serious addiction problem, having those kind of drinks while her children are spending the night. She's testified that and it goes directly to her credibility, using mushrooms, a psychedelic drug, experimenting with that with Mr. Walden, while he bought it and brought it into the home. She goes out and spends close to $4,000 for him to have a motorcycle. She goes out and spends $3,500 for a photo shoot. She don't know what the purpose of that really was. And this is a photo shoot that was on the internet for everyone to see. Mr. Valdez has some valid concerns about her parenting abilities when he says other people can see this. Other people can tell other children, this is your mother. This court's well aware that, and you've heard enough cases where kids understand all of that, and all of a sudden, it's a problem for that child. She's going through some sort of crisis that doesn't involve her children because she's left these children. Uncontroverted testimony of Mr. Valdez, he said 26 of 33 days with him. That's what's going on. You've heard him testify, it's been a 50-50 split for the most part anyway. And his entire life is spent with his marriage and his children. That's just not the case with Mrs. Valdez right now. That's a drastic turn.
Welcome.
That's a 90 degree, 180 degree change as to how she functions. And I think there's something going on here.
Enjoy.
Either she's having some serious issues herself, maybe she likes bad boys, I don't know. But she's got other things on her mind than these children. I urge you to remember back to that tape where she came into the house. Mr. Valdez saw it and he testified. She didn't spend 2 seconds with her daughter. Walked off in search of guns. I mean, that was her reason. Her daughter's trying to hug her and she walks off. She's just got something else on her mind rather than these kids. They're not the paramount decisions that she's going to be making in their best interest. Mr. Valdez, I think from his testimony today, there shouldn't be any question that he's rock solid with these children. These children deserve to be with somebody rock solid after what's been happening to them throughout this process. And the fact that she even thought it would be somewhat okay to have him sleeping in the same house with these children while they're conducting this type of activity. And I mean alcohol and drinking every night, and Lord knows what else. I mean, she admitted to the mushrooms, but again, we really request a drug test so we can get down to the bottom of what's going on. Mr. Valdez will pay for it. It's like everything else with the motorcycle and the photo shoot and all the other monies that have been going out by Mrs. Valdez. It's still marital money, but I mean, he's willing to pay for it, and he'll take one, no problem at all. I think we've kind of agreed to the motion for exclusive possession of the marital residence.
You're going to
we are asking for that. As far as the $10,000 goes, it wasn't about taking the $10,000 to go spend it or live on to take it away from her. As he testified, it's about spend this on your boyfriend and your midlife crisis or whatever you're going through. Don't be spending it on motorcycles for your boyfriend. Don't be spending it on photo shoots for your boyfriend, I'll say. And don't be spending it on things that have absolutely no bearing on the children or anything else that you have been working for this entire time. Again, I think Mr. Valdez is a rock solid choice for these children. I think Your Honor has seen it today. We're asking for her to have a reasonable visitation. The $10,000, we're asking for an accounting, maybe a monthly accounting of what that's used for. Obviously, she's gotten the 5 back. She's got the other 5 back. We followed the order and got it returned. We just like to have some sort of accounting of what's going on. I think he is owed that. It wasn't about keeping the money from her. It's about how you're going to spend it. And if we could have some sort of accounting, we never got that and never got an agreement on that. You heard today that I wouldn't even hear there's no agreement on anything. We didn't have any sort of agreement to even get an accounting, and I've asked for this situation. But Mr. Valdez is begging to let him be the primary parent over these children. Let her have some visitation with obviously no contact with her boyfriend. And, let's get through this divorce. Let's get to a final hearing and see what you want to do, see how she improves herself during that period of time. Because, I submit to the court, I don't think today with her testimony, especially the boyfriends, has been very impressive on being able to take care of children, small children. Thank you, Judge, for your time.
I should have used a little more cinnamon. They could use a little more cinnamon and on top of them. Or maybe some more vanilla. Don't skimp on the vanilla on this one. I'll just say that.
Couple of observations, and one is sometimes people who come, especially, and this is based upon my own experience and my own background, as well as my observation of people throughout my career as a lawyer and now as a judge. It is sometimes surprising to one party of a marriage that the other party doesn't want to be married to them anymore and that they've changed. Well, the problem is that people change, and what might have been important to this young lady at one point in her time may not be important to her at any point. It happens with people who are raised in a very religious background. As the old country expression is that they sometimes want to kick the traces. That has to do with a mule pulling a plow. But in any event, sometimes people want to kick the traces and get out of the regimen of their life and go on with it. So I don't have any problem with the fact that she wants to deviate from the closely held religious beliefs that Mr. Valdez may think that she's required to have or that would be appropriate for her. I don't have a problem with that. My only concern is about the decision process that is being made, and I'll address that
Or in any divorce, yes, it's always the children who hurts the most.
in a moment. In deciding who is going to be the primary residential parent, I'm required to look at the factors that are set forth even on a temporary basis under 36.6.106 of the Tennessee Code. Those factors include the strength, nature, and stability of the child's relationship with each parent, including whether one parent has performed the majority of parenting responsibilities relating to the daily needs of the child. Clearly, the testimony of both of these parties was that Ms. Valdez was during their time they lived together, that she was the primary residential parent for these children, that she was the person who fulfilled most of those things. He was also involved, but she was the primary person who provided for that. Number two, that each parent's caregiver's past and potential for future performance of parenting responsibilities, including the willingness and ability of each of the parents and caregivers to facilitate and encourage a close, continuing parent-child relationship between the child and both of the child's parents, consistent with the best interest of the child. It does not appear to me that under the circumstances that either of them necessarily has failed to provide or fulfill their parenting responsibilities. But I have a real problem with someone who calls up, even when you found out that he had the $10,000 removed, calling up and threatening to make sure he never sees his children again is one of the things that is anathema to this court regarding children. You don't threaten another parent with never being able to see their child again in order to gain an advantage in a lawsuit. It just simply is not appropriate. It's not done. That causes the court to find that factor favors Mr. Valdez simply because when you threaten to keep him from ever being able to see his children again, it does not indicate you're going to facilitate a close relationship between him and the children. I don't have any.
I had to evolve because I was thinking I can't really demand my bots hang around on Thanksgiving. And do you know my bots? It's not like Brandon is going to share my Discord link.
Number three is refusal to attend a parenting class. I don't have that evidence before me because this is temporary. The disposition of each parent to provide the child with food, clothing, care, education, other necessary care. They both have apparently been doing that. There's not been any real exchange of money between them, but I think she was waiting to try to get herself set up. The degree to which each parent has been a primary caregiver is defined by the parent who's taken the greater responsibility of performing their parental responsibilities. Clearly, as I've said, she was the primary caregiver during the marriage. When she left the home for that period of time, Mr. Valdez, who had been involved previously as well, but not to the extent she was, he's assumed the greater responsibility for performing those parental responsibilities under the current status that we're in. The love, affection, emotional ties existing between each parent and the child. I think they both love their children, and I don't have any question about that. The emotional needs and developmental level of the child, I don't have anything to indicate that any of these children, one of them is a 2-year-old, and none of them are very old. I think there's an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 2-year-old perhaps. But they're young children. Number 8, the moral, physical, mental, and emotional fitness of each parent as it relates to their ability to parent the child. As I said, I don't fault you for deciding, that you lived in a closely, a very confining religious background in the past, and one that envisioned that you were going to be the wife that took care of everything and did everything. I don't have a problem with the idea that you no longer want to do that. In today's society, unlike the Jewish society that existed at the time of the scriptures they written, women were in a different class. They're not there anymore. We're in a different world. So for that reason, I don't have a problem with it. My problem is some of the decisions that you've made. For example, if you think your children don't know or won't figure out that you're having Mr. Wilding to be at your house overnight, you're just kidding yourself. Kids, as they grow older, are going to figure that out. Second thing is that your decision to use mushrooms, shrooms, or whatever you want to call them, something that is patently illegal as an experimental situation, is a regrettable decision on your part. More importantly, it is a criminal act. And although certainly we're not going to refer this for criminal prosecution, there's no reason to do that. It clearly shows that there's some either maturity lacking on your part or a moral problem that prevents you from being able to recognize how wrong that really is when you're supposed to be parenting 3 young children. And I don't care whether they're legal or not legal in the city of Denver, Colorado, or anywhere else in the world. I think we're looking at the laws of the state of Tennessee. The child's interaction and interrelationship with siblings and other relatives and step-relatives and mentors don't have anything about that. The importance of continuity of the child's life, the length of time the child has lived in a stable, satisfactory environment don't show that there's really, I think the children have been used to having both parents and now they're suddenly in the middle of it. This is a temporary situation, so I don't really think that applies. Number 11, evidence of physical or emotional abuse to the child or children. I don't find any evidence of that. Number 12, the character and behavior of any other person who resides in or frequents the home of a parent and such person's interaction with the child. I'm all for someone who has turned their life around. I see it every day. I'll be seeing it the next 2 days when I have our hearing in criminal court regarding violations of probation. I credit anyone who goes through a process to try to straighten out their life. My idea of sobriety is not someone who goes through sobriety after having a lifetime of criminal activity and then suddenly decides they're sober and that yet drinks 3 or 4 times a week or 4 or 5 times a week and 3 or 4 times a beer. No rehabilitation program, no sobriety program that I'm aware of ever condones the use of alcohol. It's just substituting one drug for another. So for that reason, I think that it's obvious that Mr. Wilding has not really embraced the sobriety that he has testified to, and that in fact he's not an individual who is particularly embracing his sobriety to the extent that makes him an appropriate person to be around the children. His criminal history, there's no violence or anything in it. They're all drug related. But the fact that he has a history of drug related convictions and is now using mushrooms and stated rather cavalierly that he was prepared to use them again if that situation presented itself, indicates to the court that he is a person who has not fully embraced the idea that he could go back to prison for possession of mushrooms, and has testified under oath in a proceeding that he did in fact do that. If he was on probation, he'd be looking at going back to prison immediately on a violation of probation. So that is a factor that clearly concerns the court. Don't have anything else about the employment schedule. I think both of them can make advantages of the schedule. They can make it work. Any other factor deemed relevant by the court. So what we have here is a situation where 2 people are just now going through. I don't care whether you have this boudoir photographs made. I do think that it does create some issues you might want to think about as far as publishing those on the internet. But as far as this court is concerned, that's your life. You can do with it what you want. He can't control you anymore to do those things. If that's what you want to do, then you have at it. I'm just simply saying that you've got to consider your children from that perspective as well. And maybe years before that ever comes to their knowledge, but nothing that I saw on that demonstration that was given was anything that would be so severe that would traumatize the children, but perhaps I'm different than the children. Possession of marital residence will be granted on a temporary basis exclusively to Mr. Valdez. Operation and control of the business will be granted to Mrs. Valdez because she is the person primarily responsible for running the business. I think he's had very limited control or whatever. As far as me setting aside Judge Lockhart Mash's order, I am not prepared to do that. I don't think it is appropriate for me to go behind her restraining order. And he has returned the extra $5,000. However, she will be held accountable for the operation of the business, and he will be entitled to have access through his attorney to any financial records that might be during the discovery process to determine how she's operating the business. I'm going to say some things that you're not going to like, and you just need to understand. And certainly Mr. Welding is not going to like them. He doesn't have any business being around these children, right? So he is prohibited from having contact with your children, from spending the night in your home when these children are present, period, exclamation point. Once you're divorced, that's a different matter. But right now you're in the middle of a divorce, and so for that reason, I'm limiting and prohibiting that contact. I've given you the reasons why I feel that that's not appropriate. But in addition to that, he'll have no interaction or no input or any involvement in the operation of this business. It's a jointly owned business between you and Mr. Valdez. You're going to operate it. You do it. He can give you advice if he wants to, but he's not going to be involved in it, period. You understand that? Then lastly, I'm going to order that you not make any more loans to Mr. Valdez. You don't give him any more funds. Every dollar that you have, theoretically, and every debt that you incur are considered, as long as you're married, to be marital debts and marital funds. So you cannot, I'm just prohibiting you from giving away to him or anyone else marital funds. So you're not, I'm basically saying you've got to use that money for your children and for yourself and for the business, but you can't give it away for anything else. And that includes incurring another debt to give money to anything else. So that, in my opinion, takes care of the business. So it really comes down to who's going to be the primary residential parent. Based upon this court's observation and determination, I find that Mr. Valdez should be the temporary primary residential parent. That is really just a jurisdictional designation. At this point, I'm going to set an equal residential schedule. I asked him the question about your parenting, about what concerns he had about it. And Mr. Welding is the only concern he had. Otherwise, he thought you were a good mother, the person you used to be. Well, we're going to establish a track record for you. You're going to have the children. We're going to just alternate weeks. Now, the two of you can agree on anything else, but you alternate weeks in between. You can exchange on Fridays, and if y'all make up a different arrangement, so be it. But I intend for you to both have equal time. Why am I doing that? Because your children are my concern. They're missing their mother. They're with their father. You're going to each have an opportunity to establish a track record on how you deal with these children and how you deal with each other. Trust me when I tell you that if you come back in front of me and I hear another recording of you threatening him and cursing and so forth, you're likely to lose the equal residential schedule and go to something much more restricted. I don't want to do that because your children want to be with you. But I'm giving you the opportunity to do that, giving you the opportunity. If you want to be with him, that's your choice, Mr. Wilding, but you can do it when the children aren't present. And then I'm giving you the other restrictions. As far as when the children are with you, there will be no consumption of alcohol in your house, period. It's not that I am opposed to it. I think the Bible is full of examples of alcohol being involved in it. That's my personal belief. May not square with everybody else's, but I believe there's no prohibition. What is prohibited are the extremes: gluttony, alcoholism, being given a strong drink. Those things are what the Bible says you shouldn't do. Not that I'm preaching, but since your background is such, I think that's what you need to think about. So I'm not restraining her from consuming alcohol. I'm just simply saying don't do it when the kids are around on a temporary basis. Once we get through this divorce, if you decide you want to do it, then you may have to do it with some restraint. But having every night of the week, 2 or 3 drinks is not a moderate consumption of alcohol. When you get to be my age, you look at these articles about how bad it is for you to have that frequently of an alcoholic drink, and it can carry a long-standing effect. I am not going to order a drug test at this point because she has admitted from the stand that she had used the mushrooms. That was a part of the basis that I gave for it, for my ruling. But obviously, it goes without saying you're prohibited from consuming any sort of illegal narcotics, drugs, herbs, or anything else that might be considered to be illegal. Child support will be calculated between the two of them. Parties will exchange the information regarding their respective incomes and calculate the days at 50-50 right now, and go from that. Mr. Valdez, I question you about what you thought of her, because she's never going to be a woman that you thought you married anymore. She's no longer going to be that person.
It's not. It's because they both come from a strict religious. I like this judge. He tries to hit people so they'll understand his rulings. I think that's why he's very biblical in this one. The other one we saw the other day with the lady who was thrown out of this house, he didn't mention anything. But these people met in Bible camp when they were 18 and 19. So that's why he's hitting it with the Bible. So he thinks that he thinks that she will understand it better. But I like him so far that keep your path clean when the kids are with you. Again, we divorced when my youngest was 3-4 months old, and I've never yelled at a person as much as I've yelled of anyone than my ex-wife. But I never allowed my family to do it. I never said a bad word about her when the kids were there. If she called up, you know how it is. Sometimes you want to have a fight. She called me because she could always provoke me, and I'll start screaming, and she could start screaming. I think we did that for the first 2 years, and then I just said, I don't want to do this. Call me back when you're normal. And I hung up. And she called me like 5 times in a row. I didn't pick it up. And then when there's a couple of hours was gone by, I called her up and said, so what did you want to say? And because she just wanted that argument so she could have an argument. And I partook in as much as I could with the school and everything. And when she found a new boyfriend, as long as he was good to the kids, I had no problem with that. It's all about taking care of you. I never ever drank or anything the weekend. I had them every other weekend. I never drank. I never went out. I was always with my kids because it's about the kids. It's I don't understand these people who just take the kids for another weekend because I want to go hiking or whatever. It's your kids. Come on now. They didn't ask for you. Didn't ask to be born. You're the one who took the decision, so you should be man enough to say, "My life is less important now because now I have something more important in my life."
Make her a bad person. It just means she's going to be independent. She's not going to listen to you. But there will be no arguing, no fussing, no fighting between the two of you regarding these children or about these children. I don't want to see any emails that are hateful and full of anger. I want to see kindness between the two of you. Everybody understand that? Is there anything I have not addressed?
That's the thing I don't
Judge?
understand.
Yes.
Well, as far as the parenting plan goes, am I right in suggesting my parenting plan needs to be amended for equal time and then it's adopted, or, because we always get in the holidays?
I just think we just need, I don't care whose parenting plan is used, it doesn't matter. He's the primary residential parent on a temporary basis. There will be an equal residential schedule alternating weeks unless the parties otherwise agree, and they obviously have been agreeing to sometimes swapping out. Holidays will be alternated. We have the next holiday coming up, as I'm told, Halloween. My clerk says I'm not supposed to hold court on Halloween, but if they have Halloween, do it together. Goodness gracious, you got kids that want to go trick-or-treating, set aside your grievances and the two of you take them trick-or-treating together, or share the day, half with you, half with her, whatever, I don't care. Thanksgiving will be the next one. We'll divide it. The children have been primarily with him. She'll have Thanksgiving Day and Friday, he'll have Saturday and Sunday. Christmas, it'll just be reversed. He'll have Christmas Eve and Christmas Day until 2 o'clock, and she'll have 2 o'clock Christmas Day until December the 26th at 6 p.m. I don't know how much simpler it can be than that.
That's fine, Judge. Just always get those questions. And then decision-making authority.
Decision-making will be, there'll be joint decision-making, but parties cannot agree, and I want to encourage your discussion and your ability to communicate with each other. If you can't agree on a temporary basis, then the primary residential parent will have the final say in those 4 decisions. But he can't just make a unilateral decision regarding your children. He has to talk to you first. And if he does that, that violates this court's order, and that will be considered in the final hearing as well. Obviously, I want to see that both of you have time with your children and set a track record to see how well you two communicate. Anything else?
And you put in there, this is all subject to change if they agree to it.
So
Put in there, I think what you were saying is this parenting plan can be changed by agreement of the parties.
yeah, as long as the parties agree. And I'm going to, with the relationships the two of you have had in the past and with my experience, if you're going to make a change, I don't care how minor it is, do it in writing in the form of an email where you both agree, so that there's a record showing that you agree, because otherwise one of you will come into court saying you agreed, the other one says you didn't. All right, I have a raft of cases yet to get to, Mr. Holly.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Ms. Smith and I resolved Ben versus Easton.
That was the first hearing. Now to the second hearing. And thank you so much, Bad Dog, for saying happy late St. Morten's Aften. We don't call it St. Morten's Aften, we call it Morten's Aften. But thank you so much. This is a night we have on November 10th, I believe it was. Yeah. This is the story about a guy they wanted to make a bishop and how is it? They wanted to make him a bishop. It's the story of Martin of Tours, but we made it a little bit Danish. So Morten became the name of the bishop, and he hid in a pen of geese. And then they quacked, so they made him the bishop, which he didn't want to do. And to punish the geese, we eat duck in Denmark for Morten's Aften. Don't ask us why. We just do it. So the geese ratted him out, but we eat the ducks. But thank you so much, Bad Dog. Tonight we eat your fellas. Taking a break from cooking, just found out that I was gifted a membership. Another reason to be thankful today. Thank you for joining us, Twobble. This was part 1 we just ended. We are now going to part 2. Second part is the best part. Well, let's get to it.
Good morning, Your Honor.
This is a continuation of that prior motion, if I understand correctly.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you for becoming a member as well, Bad Dog. Any spoilers? No spoilers. Don't give any spoilers.
That was my motion to continue Mr. Hawley's motions. Your Honor, I'm on medical leave, and Mr. Hawley and I have just agreed to set this case for mediation for January 17th. And so I would ask that this be continued to the court's February docket because it might possibly be moot by then anyway.
Judge, if I may, I disagree with that in part. There in this, what I filed was an ex parte, for you to consider signing it on an ex parte basis instead of hearing. There were basically 2 aspects to this. One was with the kids, the other was with the business. The business is probably mute at this point. I know the franchisee had taken it over based on some of the things that were going on. If you remember, you gave Mrs. Valdez total control of the business. And I think our window for being able to salvage anything there is gone. So I don't have any problem necessarily with the business going to mediation and taking that aspect. Unfortunately, with the kids, it's a little different story. If you'll remember with the ex parte petition motion that I filed, what I attached to that were a couple of things. One was a note from the mother that concerned my client because she was discussing suicide with the children. You know, she's got visitation with these children, that it was, I believe, overwhelming. I attached that to the motion. The other thing, we got numerous letters from the family of Mrs. Valdez, who were once in her corner, that including her own mother, that are very concerned about the children being with her at this point with her mental state. I've spoken with Ms. Tees about also there's going to be some evidence that fairly compelling that Mr. Draper, the boyfriend, has been around the minor children. I just can't very well say it's okay to reset all of that. I still am setting it on the court's desk as a potential ex parte signature for those things, and I would just like to have the first available date that we could get to be able to put a little evidence before the court. And you already have most all of it there with the letter from Ms. Valdez and Ms. Valdez's family, and to put a little bit of evidence on to see what the court wants to do there. It's always concerning when we have these mental health issues, surrounding the someone that does have the visitation with the children, and that's kind of what she was discussing in her own letter. So that's still there, and I don't feel like I'm doing my job and with my client trying to protect these kids unless I put that on the court's desk and kind of hold to that. It just kind of is what it is with that regard. But Mrs. Tees and I did discuss the fact that the clerk had asked me to set it because of what I think the court had told her, set it at the end of the month. And I didn't know if that was to actually get a date today or to actually try it. And then when I understood her situation, as well as mine, I understand that it may be a situation the court's going to grant her a continuance. But I'm just asking for the very first available, but sometime in December or whenever that we can have this heard because of the peril that these letters have, kind of describe the children in.
Your Honor, if I may, Mr. Hawley filed that ex parte motion at the beginning of November, and this court did not sign that ex parte or, deem this to be an emergency. These parties have still been doing 50-50 parenting time, and without arguing, getting into the weeds of Mr. Hawley's motion and arguing that, there's no emergency here, and it would be appropriate to push this until after mediation, which is, I think the court's next docket is February 15th.
And again, at the last bite of the apple, we do disagree about the emergency in the situation.
I'm sorry.
Just the last.
The one with the pearl sugar on it, good. That was good.
Bite of the apple, we do disagree that it's not an emergency situation.
No, I don't know who Tony is. It's not her.
Well, it's her motion to continue, so she gets the last bite of the apple.
Yeah.
You want anything else, please?
No, Your Honor. We're confident that, if, like I said, if we mediate, we might very well be successful, and it makes sense to have this hearing pushed until after then. We already have a date secured. We have a mediator secured. And
mediation.
What was that?
When is the mediation?
January 17th.
January what?
17th.
January 17th.
Tony left.
And what you're telling me, Mr. Hawley, is that you're saying that your client will be willing to mediate as to the personal property, business interests, and so forth, but not about the custody issues?
Oh, we'll be willing to mediate about all of it. It's just that, when we get these letters where mom's threatening suicide and her own mother's talking out against her now, in the letter that she wrote,
Could
you
be
know,
her
it
in
becomes a
court.
little compelling on my client to try to put this in front of the court. I want to make sure I'm doing my job, and, you know, if God forbid something did happen to these children, you know, I've filed everything appropriately for him.
Steve, what is, I'm not asking you to disclose the nature of your medical situation, but for example, if you were, are you able to appear in court on the latter part of December if the court were to find that to be the case?
Your Honor, I have not been cleared medically yet. I have a 2-week-old infant. So, I mean, I think December would be pushing it for me. And that's why I was looking at the court's next docket after that.
Well, I understand your situation, and I would like to give you an earlier date, but Ms. Tees has a medically verifiable, obvious leave of absence, and I'm not going to force her to come back to court earlier than that. So,
Thank you, Judge.
Yeah, and I understand that. Again, we filed it for the ex parte situation. It's there. We'll take the date that you give us, though.
if the situation were to deteriorate any more, then we may have to resort to a Zoom hearing, but you'll have to apply for that. So, all right, thank you.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Judge.
That was nothing.
Ms. Valdez, do you have
Now she's in court alone.
an attorney?
But did you notice what he said in the beginning? She got sole custody of the business and she ran it into the ground. What the husband was afraid she did. So she ruined everything.
I cannot afford one now.
I'm sorry.
I cannot afford one now.
Put that microphone over there on her desk and turn it on, please.
And how can she afford it? Because she was running 2 successful businesses and had 3 jobs. He didn't state that. He just said that was what we were afraid she would do. But yeah, no more toddlers and tiaras.
All right, we have 2 matters before the court. First is an ex parte restraining order, and that is set for hearing today. The other is the order of protection that was obtained after the entry of the ex parte restraining order. The restraining order was filed February the 20th of 2024. The ex parte restraining order was obtained on February 23rd of 2024. And we will hear the restraining order first, and then we'll hear the order of protection. All of that seems to me to be fair game to hear it all at once.
All of that happened after the last hearing. They went to court several weeks ago and settled their divorce.
So you want to begin since you were the moving party on the initial matter, Mr. Holly?
Yes, sir. If I could
No, boyfriend is a convicted felon.
address the court briefly, we have filed some things, and in these things is also a petition for contempt.
Is what?
Is a petition for contempt, as criminal contempt. And Mrs. Valdez may want to be instructed about her right not to self-incriminate herself at that point, or however the court wishes to do that. I want to bring that to the court's
We're not
attention.
hearing the criminal contempt.
In the first hearing, they were instructed to share their custody equally, but they were living at hers. Then we just had and she got sole ownership of the business, but well, she ran the business, but they were still co-owners of it. And she couldn't do drugs. Then we had a short hearing where they just pushed it, and apparently they now have a divorce. So now today we are having a hearing where they are asking for contempt, and she's pro se.
Today, so I will certainly advise her of the fact that if she is charged with criminal contempt, then her testifying about some of these matters could potentially incriminate herself in that criminal contempt.
The facts are very much intertwined.
Ms. Valdez, the matters that are before the court today are the ex parte restraining order, and then there's a pending petition for criminal contempt against you that has been filed. I need to advise you that if you are charged with criminal contempt, then the punishment that would be inflicted upon anyone found in criminal contempt is a possible fine or a possible incarceration of 10 days in a county jail for each violation of the court's orders. Anyone is charged with criminal contempt has the rights of any other criminal defendant, that you have the right to be presumed to be innocent. You have the right to remain silent. You cannot be compelled to give evidence against yourself, and you potentially have the right to an attorney. And if you cannot afford an attorney, one could be potentially appointed for you on the criminal contempt. We are not dealing with the criminal contempt motion because you have 30 days to file an answer to that. So it's not ripe for hearing. But this motion for restraining order, Mr. Holly points out, contains many of the same allegations as the criminal contempt motion. Therefore, if you testify about those matters, you could potentially be giving evidence that could incriminate you in the criminal contempt motion. So you have the right to, basically, one of the rights you have is the right to obtain counsel. Are you wanting to obtain counsel? I know you said you could not afford. Are you employed?
Yes, I'm employed.
All right. Are you asking for me to appoint an attorney on the criminal contempt citation?
Yes, and forgive me, I'm confused. You said I had 30 days from now?
You do.
Okay.
Well, from the date you were served.
Oh, I was not aware of that, but I did contact my former lawyer, Donna Teese, to represent me in this matter. Unfortunately, she needed a new retainer. That's why I couldn't afford it. But she did not know that it was a criminal case, for lack of better words. And so she told me that
Not for lack of better words. It's the words. Stop trying to sound smart.
could not have free representation, basically. I would have to lawyer, but if I can, that would be wonderful.
Well, you can only have it on the motion, on the criminal contempt
Yes.
motion.
No, I have nothing. Today isn't about the Reed case. I don't know who Roberta Glass true crime is, but again, there will always be a seat for any ass. So if you have a market that likes anti-Karen Reed stuff, there will be channels out there who does anti-Karen Reed stuff. That's their grift. There will be those who will be very pro Karen Reed. That's their grift. I tend to cover it. I have my own opinion that the evidence shows she didn't do it, but I don't stream about it if there's nothing new in the case. That's my grift. So if you find that people are, just stay away and it'll be fine. Don't go and try and fight all these creators. It doesn't help anyone, and they can get to play martyr. Leave and be and say, well, clearly your view on this case isn't for me. I'll put my ass in another seat. Hey, I'm a man. That could be a problem, yes.
This hearing today is about whether or not that ex parte restraining order should be extended.
You don't need to come back with I can give you a rundown. It's a divorce case. She found herself a beau who is an ex-felon. The night she left the marital house, she consummated her new relationship. She was ordered to not having him around the kids while the divorce was ongoing. She did shrooms with him, even though he was a former meth user and a convicted felon. She has now run their business into the ground. She doesn't have enough money to have an attorney, and they want her for criminal contempt.
Extended, or whether it should be dissolved, and whether or not the ex parte order of protection that you obtained against Mr. Valdez should be extended or dissolved. Those are the only two issues. So what I would simply
No, it's I woke up last night and I saw that Plevin was on, and I opened. I can't handle that, man. It's just like they're not capable of learning something new. They're just watching Turtle Boy and saying what he's saying. If they would just, I know when I had Nurse Kim on, I could tell in her face that she was very, very surprised of the facts I could give them. And I think if they would just listen, everyone would change their mind because I have all the facts. Plevin, you changed your story more times than, well, Grant probably hasn't changed his underwear. You've changed the story more times than Jen. Yeah, but if anyone just looked at the facts like I do. We can't do that because you seem like you're a little bit slow in the heads.
observe is that because of the nature of the criminal contempt and the intertwining of those facts and evidences, then you may need to consult an attorney before you go further in the case. Do you intend to contact your former attorney and to discuss it with her, or are you wanting, if you want to obtain an attorney appointed for you, then I'm going to have to have you fill out an affidavit of income and expenses for me to determine whether you are qualified or whether you're qualified to have appointed counsel as any other criminal defendant. You understand that?
Yes, sir, I do. And forgive me, you saying that jogs my memory on the latest conversation I had with Ms. Donna Tees. She's very well acquainted with my annual income. And in her professional opinion, she does not think that I would qualify for
Okay,
representation.
so you don't think you would qualify since you are employed, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Then, under the circumstances, you understand that at any point during this proceeding today, you have the right to simply invoke your rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution to say, I decline to answer that question on the grounds that I tend to incriminate me. Or just simply say, I invoke my rights under the Fifth Amendment to refuse to answer.
Say,
Yes, sir.
You understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Then we're ready to proceed on this motion for the restraining order, Mr. Hawley. That will be the issue that I'll consider today first. Then we'll move to the order protection side. Do you have any witnesses that you intend to call other than any parties?
Well, I do, Judge. One is the officer, and I'd like to call her out of order. The officer back here that works nights, and I'd like to go ahead and.
All right, let's call her out of order.
This would be Ms. Jennifer Resendez. Saying that right? Resendez? Tiffany
Just step around, please.
she's a cutie.
Resendez. Okay.
I remember
Thank you.
her.
Absolutely. Corrections too, folks. If you would state your name for the court, please.
Tiffany Resendez.
Now, you move that microphone away from me. I'm going to ask you to move it towards you because.
I'm loud, so that's why I
That's
did
all
that.
right. And you can be as loud as you want to be, just don't be soft.
And Ms. Resendez, where are you employed?
I'm sorry,
Where are you employed?
the town of Kingston Springs Police Department.
All right. And how long have you been working there?
May will be 4 years.
And in your 4 years working with the police department, have you had opportunities to go out on domestic calls?
Many.
What would you say your experience would be in handling domestic calls and going to people's houses for, issues that you're called out on domestic?
Very experienced.
Was this your first job with Kingston City?
No.
Okay. Where did you work before that?
Ashland City Police Department.
Okay. How many years have you been in law enforcement?
Since 2019.
So in your duties as the Kingston Springs Police Department, did you have an opportunity to go to 318, I believe it is Maple Street in Kingston Springs?
Yes.
And that would be the home, as you know it, of Miss Leah Valdez, is that correct?
Yes.
And you went there on February, I believe it is 16th and 17th, that Friday and Saturday, is that accurate?
Yes.
And can you describe to the court, what kind of call you got that brought you out there?
Sure. Mr. Valdez had called the Cheatham County Dispatch Center on both of those dates, asking for a welfare check to be completed on his 3 minor children. I was dispatched to the 318 Maple Street to see if I could make contact with anybody there. The Friday night I went out there. It's standard procedure that when we go there, we log any vehicles that are parked in front of the address. I did go ahead and make note of the 2 vehicles that were parked in front of the address. One came back registered to Ms. Valdez. One came back registered to somebody that was not either your client or Ms. Valdez. It was a van that was registered out of Indiana. I went up to the residence, knocked on the door several times. No answer. I did not hear any voices, juveniles or otherwise. There was a hallway light on that you could see through the glass window in the front door. No contact was made. I advised dispatch no contact was made, and I went back in service. I gave Mr. Valdez a public service afterwards to advise him that no contact was made. The second welfare check that I did the night after, same circumstances, logged the 2 same vehicles. They were parked in the same positions as they were the night before. This time, when I approached the front porch area, an immediate odor of what seemed to be marijuana, which was very strong, was immediately noticed upon entering the porch area. I did note a male and female voice that I could hear. It didn't sound like it was coming from inside the residence. It kind of sounded like it was coming from either a back porch or maybe a basement area. I stood there for a couple of seconds to see if I could hear what they were saying, but you could not hear what they were saying. No juvenile voices were noted. I knocked on the door several times, no answer. Knocked on the door again, louder, no answer. Again, louder with my quote unquote mommy knock, no answer again. I called dispatch at that time and specifically requested that they make a special note in the CAD, which is our CAD report that dispatch does, to make a note that the odor of marijuana or what seemed to be marijuana was specifically strong when I entered the porch area and that no contact was made.
And can you describe kindly how you knocked during those occasions?
Do you want me to knock or do you?
Well, you talked about a certain type of knock. Can you describe it? Eventually, how loud did you knock?
Sure. So the second time that I went there, when I heard the voices, there is a storm door that has a storm window, top and bottom. The storm door was not closed all the way. So I eventually, when I first knocked, it was just a regular knock. Then I noticed that the storm door was open, so I opened the storm door. When I knocked on the regular door, I knocked a regular knock because I didn't want to wake the children if they were sleeping. It was around 11:30 at night, and I know that they're juveniles, so if somebody's in the house and I don't need to wake the children, I'm not going to. Noting that I had heard male and female adult voice, I knocked harder.
Yeah, this is a little bit of a problem because this is at her house with the kids there. The guy isn't supposed to be there, and if there was a little bit of the going on, she broke the judge's order.
And it wasn't a knock to where, hey, I'm going to enter the house, but it was definitely a knock to let somebody know, hey, I'm here. But no contact was made.
In your opinion, professional opinion, was there any way that someone could have been in that house and not heard that loud knock?
The only way that I would think that they would not hear it is in the house if they were in maybe a basement and all doors were closed and music was playing. But if they were reasonably around the same area as the front door, they would have heard the knock, only because I did not hear any music and I could hear the voices.
Thank you so much. You should just add a little more vanilla or put some cinnamon on them. That will make them better. The one with sugar was good. Now I just need the chocolate chip, but I'm going to save that.
Okay. Judge, if I could borrow the screen just for a moment, I have a photograph I'd like to put up there. I'm already plugged in. Present when it comes up, I'm going to show you a photograph and ask you if you recognize that photograph.
Oh, sorry.
To that, it also
Knocked on the door again, louder, no answer.
Show you a photograph and ask you if you recognize that photograph. That's a witness pitch. There we go.
I don't know.
So, Ms. Officer Resendez, I'm sorry, can you describe, if you will, well, first of all, do you recognize this photograph?
I've never seen the photograph before, but I recognize the house, the white car, and the gold van in
When-
the far.
When you described earlier the home and Mrs. Valdez's car and the van behind it, is this a fair depiction of what you have
Yes,
testified to?
yes.
Okay. And the van in the back came back to what individual?
Is it okay if I
You
reference
may.
that? So when I ran the license plate, it was actually an Indiana license plate, handicap license plate. I actually ran the VIN as well, just to make sure that the license plate matched the VIN number on the van. It came back to a 2004 GMC golden color vehicle registered to a Jennifer Kramer. I don't know who that is, but that's who the vehicle is registered to.
Do you believe her to have any relation to Mr. Christopher Wilden?
I can't testify as to who I heard this from, but I do remember somebody advising me that that was maybe his mother. I'm
What?
not sure if that's accurate though.
Were there any distinguishing markings on the back of the van?
Yes, there's 2, maybe 3 very distinguishable bumper stickers on the back.
Can you explain to the court, testify to the court what they said, and you can abbreviate if you like?
Sure. I remember 2. One, I do not remember what it said. On the driver's side bumper,
I would use a flavored tree bark, and don't put any poisonous stuff in it.
it was a bumper sticker that was sexual in nature. I can't remember what it said. On the passenger side bumper, there was a bumper sticker that said free blowjobs.
Sorry? What?
Did you find the bumper stickers on the back of the car to be kind of uncharacteristic from a disabled lady in Indiana to have on the back of her van?
I can't testify to that. Everybody's got their own.
I understand. You familiar with Lindsay Palazzi?
She is the wife of another officer that works for Kingston Springs.
Okay, and she lives across the street from?
I'm not sure of her address, but she lives across the street from there. I'm not sure which house though, yeah.
Okay, and you've communicated with her. Can you testify as to whether or not she is familiar with today's proceedings?
I'm sure she is.
Did she ever testify to you that,
In fairness to Mrs. Valdez, even though she's not represented by counsel, I'm not going to allow you to introduce a bunch of hearsay that she doesn't know that she can object to. It seems to me that it would be inadmissible hearsay for her, for this officer who's doing a great job of testifying to.
The felon is driving around in a car registered to his mom with a sign saying free mouth hugs. I like this guy. He has swayshare.
Quote what somebody else is telling her, so
But
there's been some exception to the hearsay.
I don't feel comfortable testifying
Thank
to
you.
third party.
if I may just accord, it's non-hearsay. It's not offered for the truth of the matter asserted. We have subpoenaed, and the court will see in the record, this lady to testify today. I've offered her a Zoom link. I don't know if she's on Zoom. My understanding was she just wasn't going to be here today. And later on, when Mr. Valdez testifies, I connect some of this up. I'm going to ask for an 804 exception as the declarant is unavailable. We've done everything we could do to try to subpoena this lady to be here today. And I'll just leave it at that. So
I'm not going to require this officer who obviously is very
This-
conscientious to
it's
testify
bad
about
or
what somebody else said to her, so.
Can I make one comment?
Old rise.
I will say that Ms. Palazzi is out of town at a conference. And the person that accepted the subpoena on her behalf is my sergeant. She is not employed by the town of Kingston Springs whatsoever. I'm not
That
sure.
answers the question why she's not with us.
well, we knew all of that, but she was aware of the subpoena. And I just think it adds to the 804 exception, a little bit, but that's fine. That's all I have.
Now, officer, if you'll wait just a moment. Ms. Valdez, you are now acting as your own lawyer at this purpose of this hearing. You have the right to ask questions. As you know, you cannot make a statement.
That's why I like this this lawyer. She is she's no nonsense, and she's not jumping on the I'm going to help out one of the attorneys.
Or argue with the witness, but you can ask a question. Do you wish to ask any questions?
The jerk, is that the one where he makes the glasses that makes you cross-eyed? I can't remember that movie.
No, sir, Your Honor.
And thank you, officer. You may stand down and you're released from your subpoena. You may go, I assume you may go home and go to bed.
Thank you, Judge.
Mr. Holly, you may call your.
For the record, you're Vincent Russell Valdez, is that correct?
Yes,
And you are recently divorced from Leah Valdez, correct?
yes,
And that divorce was finalized by this court on the 15th day of February of this year, correct?
yes,
And you have 3 children, correct?
yes.
And for the record again, what ages are the children?
2, 6, and 8.
And in your divorce decree, was there to be any contact with Christopher Wilder?
No, there was Leah signed that there would be a no contact with Christopher Wilden or Christopher Draper. I think he has a third name now too, though.
And the divorce decree that we submitted to the court was an agreed divorce decree, correct?
Yes,
It's something that the two of you came together in mediation and agreed to, correct?
yes,
And both of you signed same and presented to the court, and the court has approved it, correct?
yes,
And the no contact with Mr. Wilden Wilden was actually carried over from a hearing where the judge ordered no contact, is that correct?
yes, Judge Wolf.
And based on that, when was the first visitation for your ex-wife?
After the 15th,
Mhm.
it was the following day, the 16th. In our divorce decree, I have me and the children are moving down to Texas to be around family, to be around a support system. Now that I have primary custody of the kids, and until I move to Texas, Leah has every other weekend with them, and then every other Wednesday that she doesn't have that weekend. So that was she was going to have them on the 16th through the Sunday after.
Okay. And on Friday the 16th, let's start there. Did you have some concerns about Mr. Wilden being at the home?
Yes.
Where did they generate from? And you can't say what somebody told you, but as far as what your concerns were, you can testify to that, and basically how you knew.
Well, it's from two main concerns. One was my oldest son. He described hearing them have sex, and then the other was from a neighbor that reached out to me on social media to let me know kind of what was going on.
And what was the name of that neighbor?
Lindsay, I forgot her last name. Palazzi or Plipsy or something like that.
Okay. And did you attempt to subpoena Ms. Palazzi? I'll pronounce it that way today.
No, they already agreed to him moving. That's part of the divorce.
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever provide her through email with a Zoom link?
Yes.
Have you had communications with Ms. Palazzi about the court hearing today and the subpoena?
Yes.
And what has she told you about appearing today?
That she was out of town and that she really doesn't want to get her name involved because she lives across the street from Leah, and she's concerned about getting harassed by Leah and her boyfriend.
And she did tell you she was out of town today, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And in the course of that, has she sent you, or have y'all communicated via text?
Yes. The communication started on social media. A close friend of mine started a GoFundMe for me and my children to to cover the expenses of moving to Texas. And she found that and reached out to me on social media and was just congratulating and saying that, she was happy and then that me and the kids need to get as far away from this situation as possible.
Were you there, or did you go with the officer
I wouldn't date him.
for the welfare check on that Friday the 16th?
No.
Did the officer communicate with you later about what she saw and observed on the 16th?
Yes.
And what she saw and observed as well on the 17th, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
And was that accurate, that description, what she told you on the 16th and 17th, was that accurate from her testimony here today?
Yes.
Now, when you picked the children up, did you ask Mrs. Valdez about what had transpired that weekend with Mr. Wilden and the children?
Yes, I did eventually. The first thing I noticed is my son's hair was cut and he had designs on the side of his head, which wasn't a big fan of because it's against the dress code of the school he goes to now, as well as the public school I've registered him in Texas. But without even, as soon as the kids walked in the door, shut the door, my son said, "Christopher Draper cut my hair." And so I immediately walked outside, asked Leah, I'm like, "Hey, was your boyfriend around the kids?" And she said yes. Believe she said, I said, "Do you not realize that you're in contempt of court by doing that?" And her words, I believe, was, "I don't give a shit." She's like,
Is it possible to have okay? Go have fun listening to Alice's Restaurant. And thank you for stopping by and enjoy all the turkeys. Pimpernella is home. Enjoy Thanksgiving, nice dinner, and each other's company. Yeah, normally chat pipes out when they hear the word mouth hug. I don't know what LDE is. I know what LED is.
No judge is going to send me to jail. So I'm letter to jail. So, there's nothing, you'll take me to court. You can use that GoFundMe money to take me to court. Kind of just throwing it in my face, about everything.
If I could, Judge, I'd like to plug in. Did you record some of that?
I did.
Some of that discussion?
Yes.
I'll play a recording for you and ask you if you recognize this as that recording.
This is audio only.
Audio only, yes, sir. Let's see, I'm not 100%.
I'm Dad. Christopher Draper gave me this haircut.
I want to talk to you about that. Hey. First thing, whoever says when I walk in the house is Christopher Draper gave me that haircut.
Yeah, he did.
So you're just gonna violate the court orders?
I mean, honestly, Vince, I don't really give a shit. You're going to Texas and he's gonna be in my wife's one way or another.
Yeah, but you wrote for a year, man. You wrote that he wouldn't be around for a year.
Lawyer, I'm taking back to court, but you're going back to Texas and it's gonna be very expensive for you. And that GoFundMe's all gonna go towards that.
You realize that means like jail time for you, right?
If the judge deems that, you can push for that just like you did months ago, but the judge still has to sign off on that. And no judge is gonna put a mom in jail because she's letting her kids around her future husband.
I'll see you in court then.
All right, bye.
Was that a fair and accurate depiction of the recording of your conversation?
Yes.
Chris Mullen, I understand you don't like him, but how, after you lost the first hearing so badly that as you did you think, I can just tell everyone to go F themselves and I can do whatever I want because the judge directly instructed me not to have the fella around my kids? Did you think, it's going to go over swimmingly? That judge is going to love me. Oh. Latter-day elections. I don't know what Alice's restaurant is. Didn't yeah. Yeah. A lot of people do that when I was actually told to do that by my lawyer. Every phone conversation I had prior to my divorce, uh, he said, make sure you record every single one, every text message, everything, every time you are there. If you want to make a deal with her, you get it written on a piece of paper and signed, all of it, because it's he shed, she shed in court, and she sold seashell by the seashore.
And she said that he's going to be back in their lives one way or another. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
yeah.
What concern does that cause you?
Well, my concern is, I mean, we settled everything in mediation, and my point in mediation was to protect my children. And because Leo's willing to sign that her boyfriend would not be around the kids, that's why I signed off on the mediation. I didn't think that she would so blatantly, be in contempt of what she's signed, especially a day after it's been signed, our divorce decree. She will.
We are watching a divorce trial. If you're asking about that one, we watched the first time. He has grown a set since the first trial. The first trial, he seemed like the most beta ever. His former wife had met a nice, sweet man with a fake name, and they shacked up together and consummated the marriage at a hotel twice. And she started spending all of their business money on her boyfriend and wanted a divorce. The boyfriend might have a felony conviction because of drugs. So she did shrooms with a former drug addict because it doesn't matter. It's not the same drug he used before, so it's not, no. So yeah, it's all on the cray.
Right now, she has, until I move to Texas, which is next week, she has every other weekend with the kids. And then this summer, she'll get 2 consecutive weeks of visitation with them. And she's made it clear that the kids were going to be around this guy. And, what was the point of signing any of this stuff if you're just going to, not regard?
Yeah, and again, she signed them off. They made a deal. It's not like he's taking them. Well, he is, but she signed them off. She said, yeah, you can move to Texas. So again, she really want that D more than she want her children.
Any of it.
Are you concerned about
that her boyfriend would not be around the kids? That's why I signed off on the mediation. I didn't think that she would so blatantly, be in contempt of what she's signed, especially a day after it's been signed, our divorce decree. She will, right now she has, until I move to Texas, which is next week, she has every other weekend with the kids. And then this summer, she'll get 2 consecutive weeks of visitation with them. And she's made it clear that the kids were going to be around this guy. And, what was the point of signing any of this stuff if you're just going to, not regard any of it?
Are you concerned about, you heard the testimony last time that they were, I think, drinking pretty much every afternoon together.
Yeah.
That they were using mushrooms together.
Yes.
You heard the testimony that Mr. Wilden said he wasn't going to stop using mushrooms, I believe.
Yes. Well, also in our divorce decree, Leah also signed that she would not be getting intoxicated while she has the kids or taking any kind of illegal substances. Now, there's obviously.
No. And I'm saying I don't much. I think it's wrong to move the kids that far. I have had a lot of battles with my ex-wives doing this, where I'm moving to this place. You can't do that. You have to discuss it with me because we have shared custody. Yeah, too late. I bought a house. Yeah, try taking that to court. So yeah, I'm just. Prince has entered the chat. Well, I don't. I'm 27 years old.
Obviously, the police officer did say that she smoked marijuana on the premises. As a parent, I don't love that, especially when you signed that you wouldn't be doing anything. Especially, Leah has the kids 2 days, like every 10 days. The thing.
Yeah, that's the same thing we had, that any move over, I think, any move over 10 kilometers further away from me, because I wasn't the primary house. I think the rule was anything more than 10 kilometers, she had to advise me and discuss it with me, and then because technically she should pay that excessive uh, transportation I would have for it, and I would be able to say, no, I don't think that's a good idea. I think they should stay at school or whatever it is. But she just bought a house and told me, oh, by the way, I moved. And she moved like half an hour further away. I had to drive. So I couldn't do shit about it.
Another thing that upsets me about this is the children should be your priority. You got 2 days to be with them. If I had only 2 days to see my children, I wouldn't be putting them to bed and hang out with my girlfriend if I had one. And it would be movie night. It would be, hey, I'll see you in 2 days. This is my time with my children. And that doesn't seem to be a priority to you.
Did, again, if we need to get into the hearsay exception, I can, but did Mrs. Palazzi ever discuss with you other situations over at the home, as far as the Valdez home over there, as far as being loud and being able to hear certain sacred things?
What she described to me was, there's two things that was disturbing that she described to me. The first one, actually, I'll list the thing that's more disturbing to me is that she said the first red flag that she had with Leah was that when Leah first moved into the neighborhood, she asked her to watch the kids, and she said, no, I don't even know you. And then apparently Leah proceeded to get someone else to watch kids. To be asking people you don't know to watch your children is not a...
That's what I did. I never partied. I never went out. My mom would say, can I take them to Copenhagen and go to Tivoli? I said, yeah, sure, you can do that. But I would never go. That's because that was an experience they could have. But I would never say, well, I'm going away for the weekend. Can the grandparents take care of them? I knew I had a buddy who, well, she wasn't a buddy. I had a friend I went to school with, and every time her ex was a sailor, and he was doing the 3-2 shift, so he was 3 weeks away, 2 weeks home. So every time he came home, he got the kid Friday till Sunday, both weekends. He picked him up on Friday, took him down to his mom, left him there, went out drinking, saw him Saturday afternoon for a couple of hours, went out drinking, saw him again Sunday when he had to take him home. I don't understand that.
Something that I don't think any parent would want, I don't think people just hire like a babysitter on Craigslist or something like that. Like, that's not something you should do. That's in their best safety. The second thing she said was that basically the whole neighborhood is kind of up in arms because Leah and her boyfriend will have such loud sex that the entire neighborhood cannot hear it. I believe the mayor lives right next door, is very upset about it as well.
Hey, if she likes it, I won't fault her for that one.
And, there's some kind of BDSM stuff going on. Leah does wear a dog collar with a ring on it consistently. But the more concerning thing to me is getting people you don't know to watch our kids.
Has her mother expressed these concerns as well to you?
Yes. We filed this restraining order, and then, conveniently 2 days later, Leah files an order of protection against me and her mother. And so, yeah, there's definitely, some concerns there as well.
Are you asking the court today for some supervised visitation for Ms. Valdez, at least until we can hear this final petition and be somewhat relieved that Mr. Wilden is not going to be there?
We had, when I was deployed, we had there weren't that many ladies in the camp. And I was one of those who was stupid enough to make one of them pregnant. But I did 2 tours. On my second tour, we had a girl who was very famous from roughly late March, early April until we went home in July. I think we shipped home. She liked men. And she liked to show the men that she liked what the men did to her. and she liked to sleep with her windows sleep with her windows open. She was very, very famous in the camp. Everyone knew that girl. She was a beautiful girl, but oh my God, she was a screamer. I see nothing wrong with as long as it's real. I hate the I watched the corn movie, so I think I have to do the oh you're so big. Oh, I never. That's not. I don't like that one. It's clearly too fake. I would love if the HOA guy came over and said, "Hey, no loud smacks after 11 o'clock. Read the rules."
And she's going to follow the orders of the court.
Yes.
And right now, she doesn't have any, she can't remove the kids from your care, but you're okay with supervised visits as far as Ms. Valdez goes. Just as long.
Oh, yeah, if the kids are in the house, yeah, maybe not. Keep it down. Bite the pillow. She has a dog collar on. She can wear a gag ball. It'll match. I should stop talking.
As long as Mr. Wilden is anywhere around.
Yes.
And do you feel comfortable that she's going to adhere to the court order based on what you've experienced since in the first weekend of visitation?
No, I mean, she's made it blatantly clear that she doesn't care about any court orders. I mean, Leah's voice can testify for itself that she doesn't care about it.
That's all I have.
Ms. Valdez, you're again acting as your own attorney. You have the right to ask questions. Do you want to ask questions? You're going to be able to testify if you want. Do you have any questions you want to ask him?
Yes, sir, I do. Do I come up here?
Come to the podium, yeah.
In your words, you say that I do not care about following court orders.
Mhm.
But is it true that mere days after the September 23rd trial, when it was court mandated by Judge Wolf himself to stay away from Giggles and Glam operating the business, that you yourself inserted yourself into the business against his orders and were actually the reason why the business went under? I was sued from it. You yourself actually retained the $4,000 rent deposit. I have a business litigation lawyer that's willing to testify to that
You're not
fact.
asking a question, you're making a statement.
You're right. I apologize, sir. I'm new to this, obviously.
Judge, if I could lodge an objection, that has nothing to do with our restraining order. It was pre-divorce final decree of February the 15th. And I believe that some of the allegations that's in our order of protection that we're supposed to take up after this.
And the instance you're talking about was while this case was pending, correct? You're talking about something that happened while the case was pending before the final decree.
I'm confused as to what you're asking, but the question I'm asking is he's saying that I am in contempt of any orders that you give.
I'm going to overrule the objection.
Yes, sir.
She's trying to demonstrate that while he may say she hasn't followed court order and doesn't intend to, she's trying to demonstrate that in the past, he may not have shown an inclination to follow court order.
No, that is not true.
Do what?
I said, I was answering her question that it was not true what she's stating.
All right, well, that's all I have, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Valdez, you may step down. Mr. Holly, you may call your next witness.
I have one more point, Judge.
That wasn't that good of a choice.
Unless Mr. Pelosi happened to show up on Zoom, Judge, that's all I have. I don't think you have.
Amanda?
Have someone in the waiting room. We'll bring them in and see if that's who you're talking about.
That's the franchise owner for Giggles and Glam that eventually took the whole franchise back. She's here for the order of protection testimony, if we get into that. So.
Put it back in the way. All right. Do you want to testify in this case regarding this motion for a restraining order?
Is this my chance to rebuttal? And
Yes.
yes, sir, I would.
Then come around. I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand. Well, first of all, we'll take a midpoint recess. So we'll be recessed for 15 minutes.
All right. Court recess 15 minutes.
He needed a pee break.
All right, Ms. Valdez, I think you were about to testify. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, come on back up. Has she been placed under oath?
Not yet.
Yeah, she ran it in the ground.
Switch the camera. Ms. Valdez, it's your opportunity if you wish. You have something, Mr. Honig.
Just if I can address the court, you've already admonished her, or already described to her about her right not to self-incriminate herself, but having been here before, I would ask the court just to maybe refresh that to her, so that she fully understands that.
Ms. Valdez, you and I had a conversation a little bit ago in which I wanted to make sure that you understood your rights, and I'm just going to advise you again. You are charged with criminal contempt for violation of a court order in your final decree. Your final decree, says the following. The mother shall, and I'm looking at page 3 of that final decree and a parenting plan on page 3 under subsection J, other. And it states the following: the mother shall not allow the minor children to have contact with Christopher Ryan Wilden, also known as Christopher Draper, the mother's paramour, and Mr. Wilden shall not be present on the residence premises of the mother during her visitation with the minor children. Number 4, neither party shall consume alcohol in excess. Number 5, the mother shall not consume any illegal drugs and or herbs that might be and are considered to be illegal. That's the part of this motion and the contempt citation that you've been cited into court. So I need to make sure that you understand that you have a right not to incriminate yourself. You have the right to simply say, I decline to answer questions because I'm under my Fifth Amendment right.
Mhm.
So before you start testifying, just understand that anything that you testify about, any of those allegations that are made in that motion on those issues could be potentially used against you in that criminal contempt citation. But I will be glad, now that you've been admonished on those rights, I'll be glad to hear whatever it is that you have to say. Okay.
Yes, sir. May I ask one question? The 10 days per violation, just from my understanding,
The what?
the 10 days in incarceration per violation, are those 4 different?
Every day, everything, every violation of a court order. For example, if a person
Let me start before I testify. How many days can I get in prison if I violated the things you just read? Is it 10 days per, or is it just 10 days in total? Because I can do 10 days. Whee! Oh, your grandkids' mom's boyfriend should be moved into the sun. I hate those people.
doesn't pay child support on a month, that's one violation. If they don't pay the next month, that's a second violation, even though they're the same type
Right.
of thing.
Mhm.
So if you had, for example,
Mhm.
if it was proven that you had the children around Mr. Draper on one day and you had him around another day and another day, each one of those is potentially a different violation, and each one of those carries a potential of 10 days in jail.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure that you understand those rights before we begin your testimonies. That I will state for the record, Mr. Holly, that I think there has been an explanation of her rights to her that's sufficient to advise her, and she will now offer whatever she wishes to.
So I'm free to speak, correct?
You are.
Okay. So going back to the mediation agreement, I did agree.
Well, then you're ready to for dinner.
Upon Vince's terms of the kids not being around Christopher Wilden for a year. Full disclosure, during that mediation agreement, he gave me 2 options. One was to own.
I would object to anything in the mediated agreement. As the court's well aware, that's all confidential, and nothing in the mediated agreement can be used in the court.
Mediation is, what happens in mediation by statute in the state of Tennessee is confidential and cannot be introduced in a court proceeding. So I have to
I
suspend the
understand.
objection.
So then I'll pivot how I'm explaining this. I agreed to those terms because Donna Tees and I had agreed to just get the divorce finalized. It had been a very tumultuous and traumatic last 6 months. We knew that if we did not mediate that day, we were looking at minimum another 6 to 12 months in the divorce proceedings. Quite frankly, I did not have the mental and emotional energy to go through another 6 to 12 months, let alone financially. And so, yes, I agreed to those terms so we could get the divorce. Right after that, Dawn and I had a conversation where she said, let the water simmer down, let things cool off. She said, let's take him back to custody court in 8 to 12 weeks. I can represent you as a custody attorney, and we will get that, for lack of better words, I don't know the lingo, but amended or whatnot. My conversations with Vince after the mediation is he said, don't worry, it's minimum going to be a year before I move back to Texas. And so in my mind, I thought it's very manageable for Christopher Wilden to not be in the home when I have the kids every other weekend and on Wednesday nights. But when he dropped the bomb on me a few days later that he was, for lack of better words, picking up and moving out of town so suddenly, which was devastating.
If it had been a year till he was moving, it would have been easy for you to not have your boyfriend around in the weekends on the Wednesday night when your kids were there. But because they were moving faster, it was harder for you to leave your boyfriend out of the house. Je suis confused. That it should be easier in a shorter period of time than in a longer period of time. Or am I wrong? It was a past 12-mile. So you slept while other people were out hiking. Interesting. I can recommend the orange chocolate in the cookies. That's good. I have to, yes, and I will be getting it out. I missed it. Don't be confused. I think if we start thinking about it, it'll start making no sense. Yeah, this is another hearing where she might have accidentally broken all of her agreements. Oh, I don't even know if we have that, but I could, because I had my poll if I should do more polls, because I always forget to take down my polls. 51% said yes. And 39 said the right thing. It's just a grift. Some people have seen it before, so they will cheat. None. 10, 20 days. 40. I just put numbers in. Yeah, I haven't done drugs in 27 years. It's the Zooms talking. Oh, that could be good. Can we get a drug test? We haven't heard if she just started asking if, because she has no lawyer this time. So her first question was, how much time can I get in prison if I broke the rules? Yeah, she's like one of those Amish who go out on a room springer.
Quite frankly, I panicked. I contacted Donna. I said, how soon can we, remedy this? I could not afford a new retainer that quickly. And so I say all that to mean that's why I agreed to those mediation terms. Because in my mind, in the long game of it, I wanted the divorce to be finalized, but I was prepared for that.
As to why she agreed to the mediation terms. That goes back to the formulation of the mediated agreement, and as the court knows, is all confidential.
Well, she's not quoting what was said in mediation. She's stating why she agreed to the terms. So overrule the objection.
As to the welfare visits, my master bedroom is right above the front door. I always sleep with the window open because there's no central AC or air up there. Not once have we, I'm not saying the officer did not show up, obviously she did, but not once have we heard any knocking, nothing like that. We have 2 dogs, they have not barked. As to the smell of marijuana, quite frankly, I don't want to incriminate anyone that I know, but people in that area smoke marijuana freely. And just because you smell it outdoors and outside, even though you claim it's on, once you walk up onto my front porch, does not mean it's all hearsay and speculation. It does not mean that it was for me. I do not smoke marijuana.
That's not what hearsay and speculation is. Well, speculation you could say, but hearsay has nothing to do with smelling it when you walk up. That's
all speculation. As to the voices that the officer heard, she herself said it sounded like it was coming from a basement or a back porch. I know on that night, I was upstairs in my bedroom. At 11:30 at night, I was asleep. I've been working 12-hour days, 6 days a week to try and pay for lawyer bills, everything like that. And so I think those things that they're bringing to the table are all speculation and hearsay. And there's no way that I can prove, or disprove what they're accusing me of. But even the screenshots that my ex-husband has with a neighbor saying that I walk around with a dog collar and we have sex so loudly, to be frank, and I don't mean to be crass, but I'm in the privacy of my own home. What I do in my private life, I feel like should not be brought up here in court when it comes to me being a good mother, when it comes to my sexual relationship with my now fiance. We get married in 7 weeks. Me wearing this necklace that he's referring to with the ring, quite frankly, that's my own personal choice. I'm not going to go after someone if they're wearing jewelry of a religious nature or cultural nature. Like that's something that's part of my private life. If I think there's a fine line between if someone agrees with how you live personally, they can have their opinions, but that should not factor into, am I a good mother? Am I safe around my children? I understand that there's a blatant violation of a court order, but to bring in all this smoke and mirrors that Holly is doing, I just to, am I a good mother? Am I safe around my children? You know, I understand that there's a blatant violation of a court order, but am I safe around my children? You know, I understand that there's a blatant violation of a court order.
That's the moment you should have said, I really should not talk right now. I know there's a blatant violation. So, yeah.
But to bring in all this smoke and mirrors that Holly is doing, I don't think that that's ethical and right.
All right. Anything else?
Until he starts to question me. No, sir, I don't believe so.
Okay. Mr. Holly, you may cross-examine.
Ms. Valdez, first of all, Christopher Draper Wilden, is that his name?
Christopher Wilden.
Christopher
That is his legal
Wilden.
name.
Has he changed his name recently?
No, sir, he is not.
Okay. So you're familiar with February the 16th then as a visitation day for you to have the children?
Can you remind me if the 16th was a Wednesday or the following weekend?
I believe that was the Friday.
Okay.
The
Yes.
divorce was finalized I believe,
That
on the
was.
15th,
Mhm.
and Mr. Valdez said we'll start the visitation this week.
Yes, you're correct.
Okay. And that was the 16th on that Friday.
Mhm.
And you took the kids at 6 p.m. on that day, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Mhm.
And Mr. Wilden spent the night with you on that night, correct?
After the kids had gone to bed, yes, he spent the night with me. He did not have any contact with them
That's against the judge's ruling.
that night.
Okay. So he was there on the 16th. What time did he get there on the 16th?
Oh, gosh, 8:30, 9 o'clock.
And your testimony is the kids didn't see him on that day.
They did not know they were
But
in
he was
bed.
at the residence, correct?
Yes, he was.
Okay. And you're aware that's not supposed to happen pursuant to
Yes,
the
I
court
am.
as well. He's not supposed to be on the residence when
Mhm.
the children are present, correct?
Yes.
And then moving forward to February the 17th,
Mhm.
and the kids were there with you on that day, correct?
Mhm.
I mean, they woke up that morning at your house
Mhm.
and they spent the entire day with you, correct?
Yes, they did.
And they went to bed at your residence that night, correct?
Yes, they did.
And Mr. Wilden was there that morning, correct?
Yes.
And he got up and he interacted with the children, correct?
He did not interact with them that morning. He woke up prior to anyone else waking, and he went to work that day.
Okay. What time did he get home?
I think 6:30.
Okay. And was he around the children at 6 or 6:30?
Yes, he was. We did crafts and we made ice cream sundaes. He was around them for about an hour until I put them to bed.
Okay. And you understand that is a direct violation of the court order, correct?
Yes, I do. Mhm.
And then, what time did you and Mr. Wilden go to bed that night?
Oh, goodness. He was exhausted. He had thrown out his back. So I'm thinking it was earlier, maybe 9:30, 10.
He had thrown out his back?
Yes, he had thrown out his back. So he was in a lot of pain.
Okay. So that night of the 17th, did you and he drink any alcohol?
I believe I had a Corona, yes.
Did he drink anything?
No, he did not. Just because he was in so much pain, he was on painkillers for the pain.
Okay. And what painkillers was he taking?
It's a Advil or Aleve dual action. That's
Is it a
all.
prescription
No,
medication?
you can get over the counter.
Was either one of you taking any narcotic drugs on that day?
No, we were not.
Okay. So on the 16th, I'll ask the same question. When the children were there and you and Mr. Wilder were there, they were, according to your testimony, in bed.
Mhm.
But did you have anything to drink that night?
I had some red wine, yes, up in my room,
Okay.
and he had Corona.
And he had a Corona?
Mhm.
There were any illegal drugs that night?
No, sir, they were not.
All right. So then,
It's really not that hard. If the judge told you, don't drink, don't have your boyfriend over, you know where to get, if you really need La Lala's the tuna rattled that much, you can buy it online. The same place you got the pocket pea.
on the 18th, which would have been that Sunday, I believe, the kids woke up and he woke up and they were again together with each other.
Yes, we had breakfast together.
Okay. And then for that day, was that the day that he took the oldest, what's your oldest name?
River.
River.
Mhm.
Is that the day that he took River for a haircut?
No, I took River Saturday afternoon for a haircut.
Okay. And that was to the shop of Mr. Wilden?
Yes, that was the first time he met the children officially.
Well, now I'm confused because he played with them on the 17th, which was the day before. I'm asking about that.
No,
second.
I said he met them on the 17th that afternoon. That's
Right.
Saturday.
Okay.
You did
But I'm talking
fine.
about that Sunday, the 18th then. That's when you did the haircut?
No, I did the haircut Saturday, the 17th.
Gotcha. So on the 17th, then you took them from your home to his shop where he was working,
Yes.
and River got a haircut.
No, he was around the house twice. He met the kids because she said he came home around 6 o'clock. They did crafts together. That's again, no contact with the kids. He wasn't allowed to stay at the house. No contact with the kids. Woke up, had breakfast. That's another one. Take him to the salon. That's at least 5 times 10.
And then you came back home,
Mhm.
and Mr. Wilden came to your home then.
Yes.
Okay.
Siente.
And then on the 18th, let's focus on the 18th. I got confused. There was no haircut on the 18th. That was the 17th. The 18th, the children got up. Mr. Wilden was there, correct?
Yeah, he
Well, it states that she's not allowed to drink to excess. So
was there for about 45 minutes with us. We had breakfast as a family, and then he went back to work.
Okay. And then what time did he arrive back at your home?
It was after I had dropped the kids off at Vince's.
happy Thanksgiving, Mary.
So on the 16th, they were around Mr. Wilden.
They were under the same roof, but they were not around him.
On the 17th, they were around Mr. Wilden when you took them to the shop, and then when he returned later,
Yes.
they was around him again. And then on the 18th, they were around him as well,
That
correct?
morning, correct.
Okay. And you understand that to be pretty much a direct violation of the court order.
Yes, I do.
And why would you violate this judge's order in such fashion?
To speak candidly,
Go ahead.
the last 6 months have been utter hell. I've had my personal life and my character, my motherhood come into question. I understand it was not the wisest thing to break a court order. I do. I still don't regret it because Chris,
That's the look a judge gives you when you say, I don't regret breaking a court order because Christopher and I love each other.
and I are getting married. He wants to be a part of the kid's life. He would never hurt them, regardless of what's been accused. And for once, I felt like I was taking control.
All right. So
I don't think we ever had a case where someone had said all the wrong things. And again, like Chris Mullen said, I'm not the biggest fan of her husband. I think he's a big beta cock who, when he finally got hit in the face with reality, started growing some balls. But this lady, oh my God. She got out, got some foreign D, turned absolutely crazy, went into an SMM relationship and thought, F it, I'll live forever because I'm in love. I've tried to figure out if I can find anything. I can't find anything about this case, how it goes today, but I would bet they are not even together anymore.
you knew the kids were going to a Christian academy, correct?
Yes,
And you knew that haircut was going to be in violation of the dress code for the
I did
children,
not.
correct?
I did not. It was a Jesus cross that River requested, and maybe you can say my nativity. I thought it was Christian school, a Christian cross. Like, what's the big deal?
Why did you ever think to call Mr. Valdez to ask that question?
Quite frankly, no, because I genuinely did not think that would be in violation of any kind of dress code and master barber cut.
You just weren't going to call Mr. Valdez and let him know that Mr. Wilden was around the children either, were you?
I told him the evening that we dropped off the kids, but no, I was not going to call him.
That was after River told that he was around Mr. Wilden, correct? You did not volunteer that to.
I knew that River asked me, he said, can I tell Daddy that I met Christopher Draper? And I said, yes, absolutely, you can.
Why would you not have cleared that with Mr. Valdez before
Last
you
year, I
did?
think.
I believe in speaking candidly, as you know, Mr. Hawley, from the last 6 months, quite frankly, because I don't like him.
You understand that the judge heard a lot of testimony at the temporary hearing, and he initially ruled it's the best interest of the kids that they were not to be around Mr. Wilden, correct?
Yes,
So you understand that there are good grounds as far as that goes to continue
that was a
that
good one.
into this final decree of divorce,
was
correct?
that judgment on the judge on behalf of his felonious record or because of how tumultuous the marriage and everything had been? I think those are two distinguishing factors.
No. The ruling is the ruling. It's not what you think it might, could have, should have been. I know in my divorce ruling with the rules our judge gave us, that was effed up because I lived in that house and it was nowhere near what I heard in court. But I have to abide by those rules anyway. Just because you think you are smarter than the judge, don't do that.
Between why the judge thought it was not in the best interest for the children to be around Mr. Woodland.
Well, that would be a question, obviously, for the judge. But you understand the judge hearing everything that everybody had to say that day said that it's in the best interest that your children not be around Mr. Wilder.
I understand that.
And you understand that that was carried over in your final decree of divorce because that was what Mr. Valdez thought was still in the best interest of these children, correct?
Correct. Quite frankly, though,
And you agreed with that, did you not?
I did not, I have never agreed that it was not in the best interest of the children to be around Mr. Wilden. I think that there's a lot of pride and ego that goes into this on Vince's behalf, and he's leveraging his felonious past.
Do you remember signing the final decree of divorce and the parenting plan that was associated with that?
Yes, I do. I also
You
remember
signed
explaining
that-
why I
You
chose
signed that
terms.
in your lawyer's office, Mrs. Tees, correct?
Yes.
You had the benefit of counsel at that time, correct? And you signed that parenting plan acknowledging that Mr. Wilden would not be around the children in any manner whatsoever for
Yes.
those 12 months, correct?
Yes.
And then at that point, it wasn't an automatic. It was that you could actually come in and file something if you felt like you were aggrieved in some manner at that point, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
It still wasn't that after 12 months, they could just have contact with Mr. Wilden. It was just going to be acceptable for you to file a
Yes.
motion or a petition, and you could come into court and ask the court to reevaluate the situation. correct?
Yes, that's correct.
But you didn't give Mr. Valdez or the court that opportunity when you just initially took the children and allowed them to have contact with Mr. Wilden, did you?
Yes, that's correct.
And you brought up a great word a minute ago. You said you were going to take control of the situation. In fact, wasn't it that when you took the river to go get that haircut, you're actually taking control and you're showing Mr. Valdez you're in control of the situation at that point?
I don't understand what you're saying.
You said it. You said that that was a matter of you taking control a minute ago. You remember saying that?
I was referring to me deciding to let the children meet my future
Oh,
husband.
absolutely. You're going to take control over that situation, are you not?
I made a decision, yes, and I own that.
And you made that decision, taking control over that situation above what Mr. Valdez and you agreed to and above what the court actually ordered. Isn't that correct?
I think right now you're using my words in a twisted way to speculate something on my character, so I'm not going to answer.
No.
So you heard an experienced officer testify today, Miss Officer Ramirez, I believe it was. You heard her testify that she smelled a distinct odor of marijuana coming from your home on that Saturday, the 17th. And that would have been in the hours of around 10 or 11 o'clock. And is it your testimony that you don't know where that came from?
I have speculations on where it came from, but based off of living in that neighborhood for the last 7 months, but I'm not at liberty to throw someone under the bus, what they do privately on their porch or in their home.
I want to know if you know where that came from, where it came from.
I can speculate where it came from, yes, but I am not going to expound on where I think that came from.
Well, Judge,
That's not
if
my
she's going to
place.
use this as a defense, I'm gonna ask the court to ask her to answer that question.
Why?
If she knows where it came from.
Why?
Because it's a violation of a court order. It's the marijuana part with Mr. Wilden in the premises with the children.
It goes to her credibility, but I'm not going to force her to name some neighbor that she thinks is using marijuana. I'm not going to force that. So you've asked the question, she's answered it, and said claims it's not hers, even though the officer clearly stated that she was standing on the
That's why I like Judge Wolf. He's a no nonsense. He's a balls and strike guys. I like him.
front porch of her house and smelled it. So it goes to credibility, but it does not it does not require me to compel her to implicate some other neighbor of that situation. I understand the reasons why she wouldn't want
It's
to.
like
She's
you can't-
given you her answer. It
Yeah,
goes to her
and all the
credibility.
politicians.
So if I may, how far away is the closest house to your house then?
15 yards, maybe less.
And whose house is that?
I'm not at liberty to say that.
All right. So are you saying that
You are at liberty to say that, but you don't want to say that. You can say that. It's not the right word you're using.
it came from another house or potentially from another person? Is someone on your porch smoking marijuana that you didn't know about? What are you saying?
I think that when you're outdoors
Stephen was in the Discord and saw her boudoir photos. That's why he wanna join the Moist O'Clock train.
and it's a windy night, a smell could come from anywhere, quite frankly, especially when the homes are as close as ours.
And the officer's testimony that she smelled it coming from your home then wouldn't be correct.
She said that when she approached our porch, that doesn't mean that she is accurate in knowing that it came from the living room or an upstairs window or a back porch. It's pure speculation.
And Mr. Wilden testified at the temporary hearing again, as it carried over into your final decree, that he had used mushrooms
Yes,
and that he was going to use them again or something to that effect. You remember that testimony?
I do remember that.
Yeah, if I couldn't really tell in the picture we saw how close the houses are, but again, some of the wacky tobacco smells really, really bad, and it lingers around. And again, I would say, yeah, you can have indications, but as long as you didn't make contact with them or saw blunts or anything, that shouldn't really be used against her.
And that marijuana, I believe, mushrooms, I believe what he testified to as to why he said it released what's in chamber in him. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do remember that.
So do you understand why the court had concerns as well as Mr. Valdez and put this order in place?
I like Judge Bowtie as well. I was lucky enough to have a talk with him on a stream.
I can see that, yes.
Yeah, but if you are in a close, that's one of the things I talked to Marissa, who was in Vegas, where everywhere just smell of it. That's one of the things with weed being legal. When I am in Switzerland and we go to get up to the town, we have to go through a skate park, and you almost get room high when you go into that skate park, because that's one of the places the kids hang out and smoke. And it's just, don't do it where other kids come and ride their skateboards. There's so much weed outside, and I think it sticks around longer than cigarette smoke. I don't know why, but I just feel like it's a lingering smell. That's a good.
You testified earlier that this was going to be a situation where you were going to sign the final decree of divorce and then in a couple of weeks come back to court
Yes,
and try to fix
right.
everything that you had signed off on. Was that your testimony?
To fight it, yes. I just wanted to have the divorce certificate because that was the biggest thing.
Biggest thing, because you want to hurry up and get married to Mr. Wilder, correct?
No, and we can get to these details during the other order that is on the docket, but the last 6 months have been tumultuous, to say the least, and until that divorce was signed, it was going to continue to be that.
I think I was 7 or 8.
And you're aware that in your divorce, you did allow for Mr. Valdez to move to Texas immediately, if that was the case.
Yes, there was an option for an immediate move, but he told me twice out of his own mouth. He said, don't worry, it's minimum going to be a year. I've got to sell the house. I got to find a job. I got to do all this. And then he dropped the bomb on all of us that he was moving in a matter of 3 to 4 weeks. I thought I would have a year to acclimate.
Ma'am, do you think that might have been because of
He
the
was,
situation?
he was not prompted in any way during that time. I thought not only me, but my family, grandparents, would have a year to acclimate to that transition.
And on those 2 nights, again, your testimony is you never heard any knocking from the officer whatsoever.
Scout's honor, I did not know. And truth be told, though, we also have neighbors that have told us they've knocked on our door, and I've just been in the restroom downstairs and I can't hear it. I don't know if it's the layout of the house or the age, but it's very hard to hear someone knocking at the front door.
And you heard her testimony that the way she knocked, that eventually there at the end, there wasn't much way that anyone in the house could not have heard that knock. You heard her testify to that?
Yes, and I agree with her logic, but at the same time, we also have 2 dogs, and not once did they bark, not once were they set off. Not saying she didn't knock, I'm just saying it's hard to hear someone knock on that front door.
The court ordered a drug test today. Would you pass it?
Yes, I would. I will say, though, to that effect, due to stress and actual.
I don't know what she's going to say now, but the only correct answer when you have a court order not to use any substances is yes. You don't say, yes, I would. Well, I know there's always a but sometimes your butt should only be the one you're sitting on. It's
hair loss because of stress. I have been taking legal CBD in my coffee for anti-stress. And I've also purchased legally distress gummies that have CBD in them.
Yeah, that's a good, thank you, Mex Crime Watch. Everyone should go give her a like as well. Now I steal her content. Fair use and all that. that Delta 8, 9, 10 thing you all talk about, we don't have it here. CBD, I've had it because I have a hard time sleeping well through the night, and we had a store selling it, and I thought, well, I'll try it. Didn't do crap for me. It should be all. I love that it should help you wake up, fall asleep, feel fresh, feel more relaxed. It didn't do anything, but the Delta is it without the psychoreactors, or is it with the psychoreactors like weed? I don't. What's the because CBD oil in Denmark has no reactive THC in it. It can't have any THC in it, or it has to be very, very low. But is the Delta is weed, but is it still CBD or is it weed? Yeah, who called the gummies earlier? It's just because CBD didn't do crap for me. It just tasted like I was eating dirt. I need the baker. I don't know. I think it's weed. So it does contain THC. Okay, yeah, because that you can't have that in any of the products in Denmark. So it didn't do crap for me. It tasted like I was eating dirt. So I don't. I didn't feel anything taking it. So yeah. I thought the Delta was for position of a group of THC, CBD, cannabidiol being another molecule. Yeah, because the THC is the tetrahydrocannabinol. That's the one that messes with your brain. But the CBD should just relax you. Or the guy who sold it to me, it could do everything. It could put me down. It could put me up. It could move me all around. Put my left foot forward and my left foot back. Do the hokey pokey and turn a little bit around. Yeah. It's not weed because you don't die by it. No, but I'm talking about, does it have tetrahydrocannabinol in it? So it's a psychoreactive, or is it just CBD, which is in the ones I've tried was crap. Oh, you can get it on prescription. We tried to get weed oil for my mom when she had the big C. Well, my dad said he bought it. So statute of limitation and all of that. Didn't help her in any way either. So I think it's different from person to person. Delta 9 is MJ. Delta 8 is from hemp. Thank you. Hey, Luna. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well, my little pumpkin pie. Yeah, he could. Everything was good. Maybe it was just placebo. I don't know. Hey again, Debbie Blair. Indica is for R&R, and sativa is for energy. Huh. I don't even know if we can get it in my town anymore.
The recording that you heard earlier, is that a fair and accurate depiction of what you told Mr. Valdez on that afternoon?
Yes.
And all of that is true and accurate?
Yes, I said it.
You saw the picture that we introduced into evidence with your house and then a car and a van.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Mr. Baldwin's van?
Yes, it is.
You recognize that as his van?
Yes, it is.
Can I have just a moment, Judge?
You may.
That's all I have to.
All right, I'm going to allow her to go ahead and testify about her reasons why she wants to extend the order of protection. We're going to move now to your order of protection. So you had obtained an order of protection that I reviewed, and under the law, it is incumbent upon a judge who reviews an order of protection. If facts are alleged in that could constitute a grounds for an order of protection, then we are on the side of caution by issuing an order of protection. That order of protection was extended as only to Mr. Valdez rather than to the children themselves. But if you want to tell me why you feel like you needed order of protection from Mr. Valdez, I'll be glad to hear.
Hey, Peter, how we doing?
Good.
Happy Turkey Day.
Happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Hope everything. Have you had your turkey, or are you having it later?
Nope, just had it, just finished. Was very good.
You wanted to join us. That's nice of you. We are half an hour-ish away from being done.
Yep. No, that's what I figured.
And you don't paint today, you paint tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll be tomorrow at 3 p.m. instead of today.
That's good to know. Everyone, go if you haven't already, subscribe to Peter. He has some weirdly talking about CBD oil, calming paint videos. You can paint along if you want, or you can just sit and enjoy watching painting. It's
actually,
3 o'clock.
Yep.
Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, you said paint along. Actually, in a couple of weeks, I'm going to make a post in my community about it. I'm going to get a beginner set, and anybody else can buy a beginner set. I'll let you know what else you need to purchase, and you can actually paint along with me. We'll do a beginner's painting. So,
yeah, because
within the next few weeks.
Just like I said with the cookies, because everyone is always going out and say, "Oh, I need all this equipment." No, you just need to try. Just get on the. If you want to try to paint, I bought some cheap nothing, just for the fun of it, and I haven't painted in half a year, and yeah, I bought some more stuff, but it's just if you want to have fun, start having fun. You don't.
I told
you
you
don't have
I'll
to
do
be Picasso.
I'll do a stream with you. We can do a painting stream. You can do watercolors and I'll do oil.
I can't
Oh,
paint.
come on. I can't either.
Oh, you're way better than I can't make it look. I could make. I don't want to say how bad my corner kisser. It's at Jamie's house if she hasn't burned it now. So yeah. But yeah, that's.
Yes, sir. Thank you. My reasoning behind that is because ever since the September 23rd trial, social media has been stalked. There's been pictures taken of our vehicles, whether the kids are there or not there, in front of our homes.
Judge, I would object to the relevance of anything that would have occurred pre-divorce.
It's stalking. It's all accumulating to stalking.
It doesn't matter on an order of protection. The decree of divorce has nothing to do with an order of protection. There are two separate animals, and in my opinion, it does not preclude her from going into reasons why she would want an order of protection that might have existed prior to the entry of a final decree.
Yes.
Our home,
Santorini, so the white city with the blue roofs, isn't that Santorini? I think that's the one they always paint down there.
My mother and Vince have driven past our homes countless times, taking pictures of vehicles.
Who has?
My mother and Vincent, my ex-husband, taking pictures of even Christopher Wilden's vehicle in a public setting in Kingston Springs. It feels like it's surveillance is being run on us, even when I don't have the kids. Like I said, we've had our social media stalked. I've had my former business, Giggles and Glam, stalked, where we've had pictures taken outside the business while I'm in there. It's been an accumulation of not feeling safe in my home. Like I don't have privacy. We've gotten blackout curtains because we feel like people are looking in our windows. And so for me to have peace of mind at my home, I want an order of protection to know that Vince or my mother cannot stand out in front of our home, park out in front of our home, run surveillance on us. I need that peace of mind.
I'm not considering anything regarding your mother because that's in a different
Yes.
court, if I understand correctly. It's only a question of whether or not that should be extended as to Mr. Valdez. All right. Anything else about that issue then?
No, sir.
Mr. Holly, you may cross-examine on this issue.
So you testified that your mother and Vince drove past your house. What dates did that happen?
I don't have specific dates, but I do have texts and emails from family members the next morning saying, we know that so-and-so was there
You
because,
can't
but no, I
testify
cannot
what
prove
somebody
that.
told you. I just want to know what you know, how you can prove. Do you have anything else, pictures, anything that would prove that your mother and Vince actually did drive by your home?
No, I have nothing to prove that. No hard evidence.
The poll says 40 or 60 days in prison. No, it's really equal. 29, 26, 25%. Only 18% think she won't get prison.
Just word of mouth.
And it's fair to say you and your mother had a relationship while you were kind of going through the divorce. You got estranged from each other, correct?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And that's because she was siding with Mr. Valdez against you in trying to protect these children. Is that fair and accurate?
I'm not at liberty to say. I think we'll get to that when her and I go to trial March 6th. That's between her and I.
Well, it's fair to say that was a topic.
That was a contributing factor. But her taking journal entries out of my home behind my back to use against me in court, I think that's a pretty unethical violation of trust and privacy.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Her removing journal entries from my personal home when I'm not there in order to use against me in a divorce trial, I think that's pretty unethical.
All right, so you said something.
This case has it all.
This judge is great too.
Yeah, I love him. Hey, Shizzy Raiders. Welcome, welcome to the divorce case that has it all. The felon boyfriend, the mom who's so mad that she helps the ex-husband. The only thing we really don't talk much about is how are the kids doing?
Yeah.
About Mr. Wilden getting his vehicle, a picture taken in public settings. Were you in the vehicle at the time?
No, that instance I'm referring to
So
was
that
back
doesn't have anything to do with you at all, does it?
knowing that he's my future husband and he lives there. I think that has everything to do with me.
But you weren't in the van at all, and you weren't subject to any of the surveillance.
I was home at the time when these pictures were supposedly being taken.
And I mean, Mr. Wilden has these bumper stickers on the back of his van, one that says free BJ's, because you think people are taking pictures of that?
That was a prank from his friend who owns a mechanic shop. He went and got his van repaired and they put those on his bumper without him knowing.
Well, now to be fair,
So he didn't remove them, so he let them stay there. And you can laugh about it, but it's still there. She's really not that smart.
Well, they're in there because of the kids, though, right? That's because why they're back, because the boyfriend was around the kids again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Ellie. They're there because she agreed to not have Christopher, whatever his last name is, around the kids.
Yeah,
And
for a
then
year.
Because, yeah, well, at least for a year. But then because he was moving faster to Texas than she thought, the day after she signed the agreement, she said, okay, now you stay with us all the time because, yeah, I don't know, because she's an idiot. And she admitted to the judge at least 7 violations of the order. She's so stupid.
that's not his van, it was his mother's van.
And he has purchased it, even though it's registered to her, he has purchased it and that is his vehicle.
When did he purchase it?
He makes his final payment this month.
You said something about your social media being
Stopped.
stopped. But isn't it fair to say that social media is all public?
Yes, that's true. But when I have a private account and I have burner accounts, friend requesting me or trolling me on the internet based off of posts, after the September 23rd trial, whether it was him or Manuel or someone, I don't know. It's all speculation, but someone made a YouTube video, submitted it to a court TV, smearing Christopher Wilden and I, and it went semi-viral locally. And we've had people come up to us on the street saying they think we're trash. We've had people dog us on social media. I mean, to me, that's social media. You're using social media to leverage against my defamation of character.
Well, I mean, you understand that the judge here in this court, everything here is on a YouTube channel for public consumption.
Yes, that's true. But when it's been edited and copy and pasted to make it look like we're saying something we're not, and the headline of the video is midlife crisis mom abandons children and runs off to party with felonious boyfriend.
What's the lie about that?
That's exactly what she did.
Yeah.
She ran away from her kids to do shrooms with her boyfriend.
The title was actually right on point.
But once it's not an over exaggeration, it's what's called a clickbaity, but it works. And her former lawyer is now thanksgiving Jesus that couldn't. Oh, she's Thanksgiving. I was thanking Jesus that she couldn't afford the retainer. Makes you wonder if the lawyer knew to get out. Well, she was part of the divorce settlement, so she probably knew that this wasn't going to be a good day in court.
Mm. Mm.
Take a shot every time she says speculation. My liver wouldn't be able to handle that. I fixed it for you. How long did it take to run the business into the ground? Well, we had the first hearing, I believe that was in the springtime. And then the second one we saw, I think it was May, the first one maybe. And the second one was in December where they asked for the continuation. And
Less
it
than
was
a year.
already going back. Yeah, less than a year. I think maybe 5-6 months.
Well, I think
So-
someone might have said it in chat, or you did. She was basically siphoning off all the customers to her new business that she was trying to get
Yeah,
going.
that's why I was talking to Jemima about if that would be something she could get sued over, because it's kind of like where you empty one company and put it into another one and
Mhm.
just let the other one go bankrupt. You'll get in a lot of trouble with the IRS for doing that.
Yep.
Hello, Miami Spice. Oh, I need to do that to you as well. Web. Had to fix some moderators today, so you
Yep.
got your bench back.
Don't you love
About 5
YouTube?
kilometers. Yeah, acid stripping or something like that. Probably not good.
Ethical, it's not right.
Well, you understand that was someone wholly unrelated to all the parties.
That's untrue, Mr. Hawley.
You're not familiar with the gentleman out in California that pulled this off the YouTube website and re-recorded it pretty much with what you just said. Are you familiar with that guy in California?
There's a many renditions of that video online, not just one.
And it's got close to what, 250, 300,000 views?
One of them, last time I checked, had over 100,000 views.
Hey, you're famous.
It could be any of those folks, correct?
That's true. Mhm.
But you're here today to get an order of protection and point the finger at Mr. Valdez about that. This is all his fault.
I think where there's smoke, there's fire. I think everything accumulates and adds up.
This is as stupid as the victims in the Karen Reed case. All these horrible witnesses that got so badly harassed. Like, what's her name? The journalist that no one really knows who is, but claims she was afraid to testify because she was being so harassed.
Oh,
Voss. Yeah.
Gretchen Voss.
Yeah. It's amazing how it's always the other part. It's in 2 seconds you'll claim it's Turtle Boy.
Oh, of course.
You testified about the Giggles and Glam business. There were some photographs that were taken outside of that
Yes.
business. And are you?
I never heard that story. Who did what? I never saw the evidence that she did this rooms with someone.
You did it with the what was it? What was the story?
Yeah, I never saw the story. I heard everyone talking about the story, but I never saw it.
I don't remember now. Oh, was it
With
with
Kate?
Kate?
Isn't KP also a friend of the court system? She shouldn't do rooms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She shouldn't be doing anything.
Pimpinella, get to bed. You can get work. Yeah, if you get to bed now, you can get almost 8 hours. Hasta la taco. See you later.
Aware that those photographs showed actually the van of Mr. Wild in that same van out in front of Giggles and Glam. So yes?
Yes, that's true.
And that the reason why that photo was taken was because the prior order said that Mr. Wilder was not to be anywhere near or have anything to do with the business.
So that was to.
You're familiar with that?
I am, but you have it incorrect. That order was he was not to have anything with the operations Giggles and Glam. He was also not to be involved with being a stylist in the salon during business hours. That night, and it was about 10 p.m. when that picture was taken. That was taken because I was being sued out of the business. My business litigation lawyer, Ernie Gilks, advised me to go up there and remove anything that was not on the asset list, personal effects, whatnot. And so Christopher Wilden and I drove up there after hours at the advice of my business litigation lawyer saying it was legal to go remove personal effects, things that weren't on the asset list, like furniture and equipment. And so, yes, we were loading up his van.
And someone took a photograph of that, correct?
There was multiple people affiliated with Ben's that
But
were
you
running
don't
surveillance
have-
on the store.
Man, you don't have any proof that Mr. Valdez was out front of that building taking those pictures, do you?
You also don't have any proof that it was me smoking pot upstairs in my bedroom. This is all purely speculation and hearsay. I didn't say I was smoking pot. I said, you have nothing to prove that I was.
Man, I don't, but you just said
I'm not
something.
saying I admit it. I'm saying it's pure speculation. It's all hearsay. You can
People-
assume something, but it doesn't mean it's right.
So you testified that people were looking in your windows.
I did not testify that people were looking at my windows. I said we were scared because of all the scrutiny we've been under in the judgment that I wouldn't put it past someone to look into my living room or my kitchen window to see what we were doing.
So
That's how
this is-
unsafe I feel in my home.
So this has nothing to do with Mr. Valdez. You're just looking at the public in general.
No, this has everything to do with Mr. Valdez and him contacting friends and family and defaming my character.
But do you have any proof that he ever went and looked in your windows?
No, I do not have any proof.
Now, just a moment, Judge.
Right.
I don't think this is going as well as
Thank you. You may step down.
Are we going to get a verdict?
Mr. Hall, you want to put on your proof? Do you have any other witnesses, Ms. Valdez, about the order of protection aspect?
No, sir, I do not.
Do you wish to put on your proof regarding the order of protection?
I'll call Mr. Valdez.
Mr. Valdez, I would remind you remain under oath.
All right. We've already had the introduction, Mr. Valdez, so let's jump right into it. So as far as stalking the residence of Mrs. Valdez, have you stalked the residence of Mrs. Valdez?
No, I haven't. I have not done surveillance on her house, nothing like that.
So how are you getting this information?
People literally will offer. I mean, the neighbor reached out to me out of nowhere. A friend of mine, without even my knowledge, went, and those photos she's talking about his van being parked down the street. A friend of mine went and did that on his own without even notifying me. A lot of people are very concerned about the children. I know that Leah is trying to make it out to be like I'm obsessed with her or something like that. But I'm literally moving to Texas next week. I've got a full-time job. I'm a primary parent of 3 children, got primary custody. I'm in the middle of moving. I don't have time to stalk my ex-wife. I as far as my cares for her, I care for her as far as the mother of my children. I want her to be healthy, and I want her to that aspect, but I'm not obsessed with her or her boyfriend in any way other than I just want to make sure my kids are safe.
Do you admit or would you deny any of the allegations that she has said?
Yeah, I mean, almost all of them. I mean, I also think it's kind of telling that if she was so scared, why did she wait until 2 days after I got this restraining order put in place to get this order of protection? If I was stalking her so incessantly, why would you wait until a week before I leave the state permanently to file a order of protection on me? That I'm like, I'm literally me and the kids are set to move to Texas. The kids are registered at school down there. I have a lease signed for a house down there. Everything is set in place for us family are there with a mule train ready for us. I mean, I am, the only thing I can see from that is that Leah has a lot to hide, and she's, I guess, upset that people are calling her out on the things that she's done.
These people that are calling her out, have you directed any of them to do any of that initially?
No.
And you said all these people.
This reminds me of the AHJD case where Tuck was harassed and swatted and all of that because they claimed that JD had ordered him or made him do all the PR work, or in the Karen Reed case where everyone who's pro Karen Reed or sees her as innocent is being blamed for being paid by the defense. I still haven't gotten my check, Karen. Please. I'm going to go all the way to the Gulf if I don't get that check soon.
Yeah, I want my 99 cents for the time I was at the courthouse.
Yeah, that's we're going to have a stream Monday and call out some names.
Why was I invited to the thing Saturday night?
Yeah, why wasn't I? Why didn't I get a plane ticket?
That one got me.
That was so stupid.
Yep.
10 pounds. I love mashed potatoes. And the good thing is, second day mashed potatoes, butter on a pan, and then roasted. Ooh-wee.
Yep. Most things are better the next day.
Yeah. Raw eggs, not so much.
Who just reached out to you?
Yes.
Did you have people reach out to you because of the YouTube videos?
Yes, I put all my social media stuff on private just because I was having so many people reach out. Now, granted, they were very kind messages, but I still don't want random people just looking at my kids and stuff. And I'm sure Leah's experienced that as well. It might be the opposite, but yeah, I have had a lot of random people reach out. I think people, no matter how Leah wants to cloud the waters on how tumultuous the last 7 months have been, I have not threatened Leah. I mean, she states in order of protection that I've threatened her. She also states that I have told her she's never going to see the kids again. That's not true. In fact, she told me that. It was played in court here for Judge Wolf on our last trial. I have never said any of those things. I never speak ill of Leah to our children because that is their mother. Any of those things that she's saying is not true.
So we talked about.
Yes, it's 11 p.m., but these holiday streams, I do them not so much because I would like to be in my bed, but it's because I know some people get a little bit lonely, and that's why we have had, I don't know how long we went this morning. We started at 3 o'clock, and it's 11 o'clock now. That's 6 hours. We've had 6 hours of, is it? No,
you're 8 hours.
8 hours.
Started at 9.
Yeah, it's we're going on 9 hours of streaming because maybe someone is a little bit lonely and they need a place to hang out, or maybe someone is a little bit not lonely enough because there's too many people. So because I am the Grift King, I pay back by streaming so people have a place to hang out, and it's just a Thursday in Denmark, like you. It's a Thursday in Scotland. So I'll do this so people have a place to hang out and either not be lonely or get away from all the noise in the kitchen. And when I sign off, I will remind you all, go in and say to your liberal cousin, oh, did you vote for Trump? Or to your diehard Republican cousin, Planned Parenthood got it right. And then the rest of the day will be taken care of. Yep.
Talking her home, you've denied that. Have you tracked any of her vehicles?
No, I don't have the time to go and track her vehicles. Like I said, I'm juggling 3 kids, a full-time job, and a move to Texas right now. And I don't have time to go follow her places. If I was doing it, I'd have to do it with my 2-year-old.
Have you hacked into any of her emails?
No, I have not.
Have you contacted any of the clients? She says my businesses and contacted clients of mine spreading lies in order to hurt my company.
No, I have
you
not
done that?
No.
She talks about that photograph that people were taking.
One of her employees took
Explain
that. Yeah, one of her employees took it because Leah.
That's a good thing about the internet. You are not really alone at any time. I was very lonely when my dad died. I'm the only one left from my family in my city. And we just had the coup, and I thought, F it, I'm going to make a YouTube channel, reach out to some people, start connecting. And 2.5 years later, I'm entertaining 164 people on Thanksgiving. So thank you all, because it takes away my loneliness. Because my loneliness is killing me, and I can't. I know. And yes, as Nicola always says, if you are on a rewatch, please put something in. Just say, "Hey Baker," it helps with the algorithms.
Yep. Like, subscribe,
and Mr. Wilden.
comment.
Yeah, do all the YouTube things.
We're taking items from the business. Amanda Morell is ready to testify as well, but she was taking things out of the business. The police showed up, made her put the stuff back into the business that she was taking from the business. That's when we lost it.
She wasn't happy about that at all.
No, I mean, she also accuses me of
next trial, I will probably announce it. Normally, I do a Friday morning stream, Thursday night. I probably won't do that because I won't be getting to bed soon. If I wake up, I'll do it. But if I'll get up. Well, tomorrow I will do. Monday, there's a case out of South Carolina, a horrible case. We won't ruin the day by talking about it today. Come back tomorrow, and it starts Monday. It's not a good case.
Being the reason we lost the business, even though Judge Wolf put her fully in charge of the business. you know,
And the business is defunct.
it is.
You got a large government loan.
Yes, I'm going to have to file bankruptcy because of this. I mean, Leah's accusations of me benefit me, they do not benefit me in any way. If anything, they hurt me and the kids. I'm having to come to court again in the middle of a move. As much as I appreciate your representation, I'm having to pay you again in the midst of supporting 3 children while Leah does not pay child support for the first year.
I got this affidavit says a window was busted during the night to one of my vehicles.
Yes.
What Mrs. Valdez filled out. Have you busted any of the windows to any of her vehicles?
No, and she also accuses her mother of the same thing. So I don't know, I'm not trying to be smart aleck or anything, but I don't think both of us were elbowing her window at the same time. But no, I did not bust any windows. She also says that apparently I was shooting guns in her backyard or something on that.
She said, I will do whatever it takes to take the children from you and you will never see them again. Have you told her that?
No, I have not.
She says that she fears for her life when home alone, as we know he is in possession of pictures he's taken of her vehicles, home, and business day and night. Is there a reason she should fear for her life because of any pictures?
No, I mean, again, I've never threatened Leah. I am honestly exhausted dealing with this. Leah also says that I told her it would be a year before we moved. I didn't say that. I said it could be up to a year because I have to find a job. Now, granted, my work and everything really fell into line really fast. At first, I thought maybe I was moving too soon. Now, with everything that's going on, I wish I would have moved faster. But I want the kids to thrive. That is my main goal. My children, before all this happened, were doing, ballet and soccer and all those things. As a single parent of 3 children, I don't have the time to do all of that. And so I want to be around a support system that can have my children thrive. I want them to have a better childhood than I had, and I had a great childhood. But every parent wants their kids to have a great childhood, and that is my goal into moving to Texas.
All right. So she says too that he, meaning you, has extensive firearm training and is possession of an AR-15 that has an illegal silencer modification for sniper rifling, and she fears walking out to her car.
Yeah, well, I do have
Do you have extensive?
Are you a pew guy?
They are. They were talking about ARs and she went for the AR.
Yeah, that was earlier today. She was trying to get that, but now she claims that he has a AR made for sniper rifling. The AR is an okay platform, but you wouldn't use it as a sniper.
Sniper, no.
Because it's actually it's quite underpowered. It's a good stable. Everyone can use it. It's a multi-tool gun. It's not a specialist weapon.
Mm-hmm.
It's I love when people, it got a scope on it. It must be a sniper rifle. No, it's not. It's just
it just has a scope on it.
Yeah, when we got we have the same platform. We just call it an M95 because we got it in '95 in the Danish army. It's the Canadian version, and it can go full auto. So it's the M4A1 or something. I think is the correct name for the American one. But they came with scopes, and everyone was, oh my! Now we're gonna get so much better. Yeah. You do this once to the scope and it's knocked out. So I shot better with the iron sights than I did with the scope on it.
Yeah. No, I'm not a gun person. So the most guns I do are first person shooters online. My brother's a big gun. Well, I shouldn't say that. He just owns a few guns. He lives in Kentucky, so a little different.
Yeah, it's yeah, you can do, but I don't think you can go above 5.56. That's the one we use. That's NATO ammo, which is really well. Now we have the SAW version of it as well. But we used to have the old crew weapon was the MG42. That's the one I was trained on, and that's the old standard 7.62. So we couldn't back in the day. You could put the same bullet in your light machine gun as you could in your rifle, and then we switched. So that was a little.
Well, now you got to carry 2 different.
Yeah, and I was, because I'm a big guy. I was the light machine gunner because it's not because I'm fat enough. Put another 12 pound on my back. I need that. So I had to run around with 2 belts plus 1 belt in the gun and a rifle and my 4 magazines because Choppy wants to carry more.
Firearm training.
Yeah, the extensive firearm training is the only thing in there that is true. I do a lot of training. I do a lot of training at Royal Range. I do a lot of training with cops. I shoot USPSA pistol competitions. I
all in all with my reserve duty, roughly 10 years.
That being said, I do everything I do is legal. I don't have any criminal record. I've never had so much as a speeding ticket in my life. I do everything I own is registered. If it's an NFA item, I have a tax stamp for it. I don't have any illegal items.
You talked about competing with a lot of officers at one of the competitions.
I've done some training with officers over at Royal Range, and we did a red dot class once. It was me and like 18 police officers, and it was just a friendly competition at the end. Whoever won the little competition got a shirt from the range, and I beat the police officers. Not to say I could beat you guys, but I beat those guys.
And if that order of protection is granted, that would take away your right to have a firearm, correct?
I guess so. I mean, I don't know why Lee would want that. I'm moving to Texas. I want the ability to be able to, I don't have a criminal record. I want the ability to be able to protect my children if I need to.
Would that be a detriment to you if you couldn't have a firearm and be able to do some of the hobbies that you like to do, the things you like to do?
At this point, that's the only hobby I do. But more importantly, more than hobbies, the Second Amendment is important to me as an American citizen, but also as a father. I've never threatened Leah, never brandished a weapon or anything.
She says, we know he runs surveillance of my home at night. And do you deny or admit that?
I do not run surveillance at her house, no.
And quite frankly, the neighbor is the one that's been reaching out to you and giving
Yes,
you
the only reason I even knew to call the police on the 16th and the 17th is because the neighbor reached out to me.
Okay. And you didn't initiate that, did you?
Before she reached out to me, I did text her.
Yes, Fargo is like the movie. It's a series about it. I only saw the first series, that was with Ted Danson. I really liked that one and never got back into it. The second season, I thought I saw 2 episodes or something.
They've all been okay so far.
Okay.
I haven't seen the very last season that they just came out with, but the previous ones have been pretty much on par.
Yeah, but I like the one with Ted Danson.
On the 16th, and I just said, hey, I'm dropping the kids off. That's basically it. I mean, she did reach out to me again on the 16th and the 17th to let me know that his van was parked out front. Ultimately, I didn't even really need it though, because Leah willingly, owns up to, or said to me that she was defying the court order.
He also has followed us during the day to public places by evidence of pictures he's taken of our vehicles. Have you done that?
I don't even know what that's referring to. No, I don't follow them to public places. Again,
she talks about stalking the social media. Do you admit or deny you've ever stalked her social media?
No, I do not stalk her social media.
It goes on about the business here, about shutting down that brick and mortar business of Giggles and Glam. And we've already talked about that. You said that was something that she was in control of.
Yes, absolutely.
And the business did go defunct, and there wasn't a thing you could do about it, was it?
Yeah, no, I mean, Amanda Morrell, I think, is on the Zoom ready to testify to that. Again, I would like to say that.
Well, hold on a second. Let's finish this up. I'm going down our affidavit.
Yeah.
We heard gunshots on our property behind our back porch.
Mhm.
Have you ever been anywhere around our house and shot off a gun?
No, I have not.
Would you ever do that?
No, sir.
That's all I have.
Ms. Valdez, you're acting as your own attorney. Do you have any questions on the order of protection that you wish to ask this witness?
No, sir, I do not.
All right, thank you. Step down, sir. All right, we've concluded all of the evidence in the case, Mr. Hawley.
Judge, the only thing I have is if you have any question at all about the business being an issue, the franchise owner is here to describe how the business went.
Well, we're going to deal with the last thing.
He's not. He's a very Christian guy whose wife found a felon.
So, very religious, and she was religious at one point. Brought up religious.
She's like when they go on the Rumspringer, the Amish.
Yeah.
Everything just goes to hell because they got freedom for the first time and they can't handle it. Or some can and they go back, but some can't.
Yeah, they get a taste of the other side and they like it.
Yeah. And again, it's quite a way going from being a Christian stay-at-home mom hairdresser thing to running around with a dog collar and getting into S&M freakouts. But hey, whatever floats your boat, as long as it's safe and it's consensual, you do you, or you do your partner, whatever you like.
First, I'm not going to extend this order of protection because I don't think that the proof has substantiated a grounds for showing that Mr. Valdez is the person who has created a situation where that Mrs. Valdez is a victim of domestic abuse, which is required in an order of protection. However, to satisfy, and not satisfy, but to ensure that there's not any problems, what we will do is just put an order down that neither of these parties will stalk the other, neither of them will follow the other or have others do so on their behalf. And that way he can't have someone else follow you, spy on you, or do any such thing as that. And that will give you hopefully at least the satisfaction of knowing there is a court order down, and if it's violated, it will be dealt with. Second issue is about the order to protect the order which was issued, a restraining order that was issued, and court is very leery of issuing orders that on an ex parte, which means without a hearing, to suspend court order visitation. In this particular case, I would remind everyone involved that there was a hearing and there was testimony, even by Mr. Wilding or Wilding, who testified before the court, and the court formed my own opinions about his character and veracity and whether or not he was a good influence or a bad influence on minor children. And for that reason, the court put an order down that he was to have no contact with the minor children. Then, while that case has been pending, but I left, I think, if I recall correctly, an equal residential schedule with the children for both of them. While that case was pending, the parties went to mediation, and as a result of that mediation, for whatever reason, they agreed upon a final decree of divorce and a parenting plan that designated Mr. Valdez as the primary residential parent for the minor children, and gave Mrs. Valdez visitation with the minor children on a period of 275 days with the father, 90 days with the mother. And it went on to say that the mother would have visitation, would have summer and holiday visitation and other visitations in Section J if the father relocates to Texas. Then it goes on to say, and I don't know who printed this off, but I started to tell them not to allow it to be filed because it's printed on every other, on the back side of the pages. So as a result, the court then, or the parties agreed upon some holiday visitation and so forth. And if I recall correctly, I'm trying to find the day-to-day schedule if he didn't move. In any event, one of the reasons we don't print on both sides of a page.
I did the order and I sent it to Ms. Tees. I don't think she's familiar with the court's single page.
Someone is a little behind.
I was looking for it, and it's in Section J on page 3, other, and it says the father is allowed to relocate to Texas with the party's minor children. 2, until such time as the father relocates to Texas, the mother shall have every other weekend from Friday at 6 to Sunday at 6. And on alternate week, the mother shall have Wednesday after school until Thursday morning, returning to school, and this shall terminate if the father relocates to Texas. Then paragraph 3, the mother shall not allow, may not allow, shall not allow the minor children to have contact with Christopher Ryan Wilding, also known as Christopher Draper, the mother's paramour, and Mr. Wilden will not be present on the residence premises of the mother during her visitation with the minor children. Neither party shall consume alcohol in excess. The mother shall not consume any illegal drugs or herbs that might be considered to be illegal. Number 6, the mother shall have the right to file a petition with the court seeking the removal or modification of the restriction relating to Christopher Ryan Wilden's, also known as Christopher Draper's, contact with the minor children, subsequent to the expiration of 12 months from the entry of the final decree of divorce. In order for this restriction to be modified, the mother must prove a material change of circumstances, and the issue of Mr. Wilden's background shall not be res judicata. Well, as was pointed out, those were terms that were agreed to, for whatever reason, by Ms. Valdez. I didn't put those in there. She and Mr. Valdez put them in there. And so once I signed that final decree, which was signed by the court on February the 15th of 2023, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't even realize, I have stacks of orders that I'm presented with. I didn't make the connection between signing this final decree and that case, in this case. But in any event, I signed the final decree, and it became a court order effective that day. Court orders are not orders that a person can decide they don't want to violate, that they want to violate, and simply because they don't want to do what the court order says. One thing that I will simply, this is not the order for the motion for contempt, but I'm concerned, Ms. Valdez, that you do not understand the gravity of your situation. You made a statement, and I wrote it down because it's going to come back to haunt you. You still don't regret violating the court's order. That is part of what will happen at the sentencing hearing. Mr. Hawley is going to replay that over and over again, because one of the factors that the court will have to decide as to whether, how much time to give you and what punishment to impose is your attitude regarding whether or not you show any remorse over violating a court order. In addition to that, it also causes the court to question whether you ever intend to violate, whether you intend to comply with the court's orders in the future. So every time that you violated a court order, and I counted 3 or 4 times minimum, is 10 days in jail. There is a specific statute that allows for consecutive sentencing that in certain cases, one of those is where there's a violation of the domestic custody order. So you are facing jail time. And I heard your voice say on that no judge is going to put a mom in jail. You are wrong. I've put women in jail before. I've sentenced women to life in prison or murdered. It doesn't bother me. I mean, it does bother me. I don't like to do it. But when you come back for the sentencing in this case, you can expect you're going to go to jail for some period of time. And that may be 10 days. That may be 40 days. That may be 50 or 60 days. That depends on what the situation is and what your attitude has been then. But it was, in my opinion, a terrible, and I tried to give you, that's the thing I don't understand. I tried to give you the leeway to not implicate yourself with such testimony. I tried to allow you the leeway to say, I don't want to have to testify if I might implicate myself. But all you've done, I don't know if you think you're smart enough that you can talk your way out of it, or if you think the reasons you give are compelling enough, but they aren't, and you aren't. And as a result of that, you are now facing an extended period of jail time. And Mr. Wilpin may come to visit you in jail, I suppose, when that sentencing comes around. But it's pretty much a foregone conclusion now on this motion for contempt as to what the court's finding is going to be as to whether or not you willfully divide. That's the other thing. I have to find you in willful contempt. That means you willfully violated a court order. Well, you pretty well solved that issue for me too, because when this case comes back before me, you've already told me you willfully defied a court order and you don't regret doing it. So it is an unfortunate situation that you find yourself in. The hearing that I have today is only about the issue of a restraining order, and based on what I've found, that you have willfully violated a court's order that you agreed to, and that you are showing no indication of remorse or that you even think that was a bad decision.
I'm sorry to say it, but I can't find the sentencing anywhere for the criminal case.
On your part to violate that court order that number of times. I have.
No, it's nowhere. I can only find parts of the hearings. I've Googled it. I've Googled it, and I can't find any written things about it either.
No choice but to continue this order of restraining and suspending the visitation schedule that was previously imposed. She will have supervised visitation at such times and places that she and Mr. Valdez can agree. Other than that, her visitation is suspended pending the hearing on the motion for contempt. I would strongly urge you to get counsel to represent you, and I would strongly urge you to comply with everything that this court has put in an order before, because you are not free to deviate from a court order under any circumstances.
What was the date? Did you say it?
I can't remember.
I
I can't remember when they had to come back.
I ask 2 questions, please, Your Honor. First, when is the...
You have 30 days from the date you were served to file an answer, so that hearing has not even been scheduled.
How do I file an answer?
You take the document that was filed called the motion or petition for contempt, and you go through it and you answer it in writing under oath, and you either admit or deny those allegations that are in there. And then you file that with the clerk and serve a copy of it on Mr. Hawley.
And then how do I go about seeing if I qualify for that?
Well, you would need to fill out an affidavit of income and expenses, and I will then make a determination whether or not that you are qualified. So.
And where do I access that?
from the clerk's office. You can get it. You have one in your office?
Yes, sir.
All right. Clerk's and master's office can give you that. So
And is that where I also file?
that's the same place you'll file your answer to the petition for contempt.
Okay.
She has supervised visitation as Mr. Valdez can arrange. I assume Mr. Valdez will be liberal in that visitation because I don't get the impression he's interested in denying her the opportunity to see the children. But, and I don't, let me say this. I almost stated something that was not even a comment. I've had a lot of smoke blown at me, but I don't really have to have anyone tell me that the officer, who is a very credible witness, was just imagining that she was smelling marijuana from another household. So you may want to think about getting a test before you come back for the contempt hearing as well, because that's also going to be something that likely will take place, is drug testing for both parties.
I'll address the court briefly. The supervisor,
Pardon?
the supervisor, is it something we can both agree to? If we both agree to a supervisor, because if he goes to Texas, it'd have to be her
If they agree on
mother.
a supervisor, then yes, that's what it is. That supervisor will need to be under the court's jurisdiction to enforce.
Actually, if she is, was she Leah Marie Valdez? I think she's in Texas now. I can't open up True People search. There's a Leah Michelle 836. That would match up in Rutherford, Texas. So, who used to own a Giggles and Gam, but I can't open. It's blocked in my region.
That Mr. Wilpin is not to have any contact with and abide by the court's order. So
There would be any other way to do that except to bring him to court, or can we get an affidavit from that person be sufficient?
bring him in tomorrow. I've got to be here tomorrow. I got to be here Thursday for a jury trial on an existing arrest, I think is what it is. And Friday I have motions in that quarter-century case regarding the constitutionality of that. So I'm here all week. So if you bring the person in or bring an affidavit that they are willing to serve as supervisor and will comply with the orders of the court, then that will be sufficient.
We'll try to find somebody she can have some
Well,
visits. even if he-
I want her to have an opportunity to see the children, regardless of how badly I think she's made decisions regarding these children in the past. They love their mother, they want to see her, and I think Mr. Valdez wants her to see the children. If she's estranged from her mother, that would be the most obvious choice. And if she and her mother can resolve their problems so that her mother can serve as supervisor, that would be the most logical and obvious of all those choices.
That's what we're thinking, is sort of protecting against your mother.
Y'all can talk about that, come up with whoever you want to supervise.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
Right. Stand adjourned.
All rise. Court adjourned.
So that's what happens when you taste freedom and you like it a little bit too much. So you can end up losing your kid and have supervised visitations with them just because you're too stupid to say, well, I'm so sorry, Your Honor. I know I broke the rules. It was a big mistake. And of course, I would never do that again. No matter
she'd rather say that no judge would do that to me because I'm a mom.
Yeah, and I took control. Yep, you took control. And sadly, I can't figure out what the payment for control.
Yeah, I
But
don't see it anywhere either.
It's impossible. We need Jemima to go look in the court papers. But it looks like she moved to Texas. If it's the same person, it fits with the age previous at Glim and Glam or Glitter and Glam or whatever the name was.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we knew if she was still with her boyfriend. She took the wheel and drove into a ditch.
The next one.
Thelma and Louise.
Video says sendings never happened on X. Meg. Actually, Meg, I used to watch her channel a lot when I first started watching, and she was just starting out. It was Crafts and Crimes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And then YouTube gave her a whole bunch of crap. And she had to change the way her channel was.
And if you want to go follow Meg, she has a lot of these types of videos. This is where I do it. She's actually live right now, so that's where I will send you all as a little thank you for letting me. Well, she didn't let me, but I stole her videos. Fair use.
No,
I did
good.
transform it, but the sentencing never happened. That's good for her. But no, Meg have a lot of all of these old videos, and it's really I find it more fun than, well, I do like some body cam videos sometimes, but I don't. I love that gold digger the other day too.
Yep. She has a bunch
We
of Judge Dad videos. He doesn't stream them anymore, so he
oh,
was really fun to watch.
it's yeah.
I can't
That
think of his
that's
name right now.
there's a lot of people who I love the I was I can't remember what. Oh, who was that streamer out of South Africa? She hasn't streamed in a while. I'm so bad with names, but I was on with her and talked to
Yeah,
Judge Fleischer.
I know who you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah. Um, it was actually Nicola who pestered her, so she sent me a link so I could be on there with her. But as he said, he puts in the camera to show everything, but other judges, I think they thought it became too much with all the. No, it wasn't Grizzly.
No,
Uh,
no, it's
uh,
her name. It's a. Oh, I'm
she's
subscribed.
always working, making homework or something in the background.
Hmm.
Nicola must know it. I forgot it. I'm so bad with
I am
names.
too.
Um, no, it's not. It's not.
No,
Mm,
Vicky Mack.
Vicky Mac.
Vicky
Yeah,
Mack.
that's the one. Haven't seen her in a long time. Maybe YouTube just doesn't show me when she's live.
It was Vicky Mack because I remember watching you on that, and then I ended up getting a gift subscription for a month.
Oh, Grizzly is the classiest female creator. I said it. Well, I everyone talks about her. I haven't seen, but we probably always stream at the same time. I need to make new friends and talk to more peoples. Well, Teresa, thank you for being here. Thanks for the cookies and divorce court. Get some sleep. Well, hillbills, I will. The Giants is down. We will be tanking this season, and we will be drafting another useless quarterback. How's Baby Manning doing? He's in Tennessee. Can we draft him just to ruin another? Yeah. Can I show item 100, please? Yeah, I'll show that on the way out. No, thank all of you for being here. Yeah, always bet against the Giants. That's the best way. If I bet on any of my teams, they lose. So
Well,
yeah,
that's with me too. That's why I don't bet.
he's back up this year. Oh, I thought he was starting this, but he is in Tennessee, right? Is he in Texas? No,
Texas.
no, he's in Tennessee. But Man United won 3-2. As I told Silver Fox earlier, they're playing so badly they could lose to Bødø Glimt.
Hmm.
A few law tubers is on the high horse. No time for that. I don't like horses. I got thrown off 2 of them, so I don't like horses.
Me too. I got thrown off on one. I never got on one again.
Yeah, it's funny. You can't see it, but I have a scar across my nose. My dad had the same. That he got kicked in the head by a horse. Mine
Oh.
is being drunk and falling, but I bled like hell. It was New Year's Eve, but I actually did horseback riding when I was a kid because I'm a son of a farmer. So of course I should learn how to ride a horse. I got shocked off a horse back then, so I didn't like it. And then in the 7th grade, we were on a camp with school, and they had these weird little Icelandic ponies, and they said, "Oh, you can go ride them." And that stupid, crazy horse threw me off. I
Hmm.
hate horses.
Yeah, me too. When we first got married, I went to a dude ranch with my brother-in-law and his wife and my wife. And I got on the horse and we got about, I don't know, 40 feet. And it's like, I can't control this thing. And it decides it's going to jump. And I landed on my ass. It's like, I'm not getting back on it. Nope. I mean, it's one thing to drive a car or a bike or a piece of machinery. You can't
Yeah.
control a living animal. If it wants to run, it's going to run.
Yeah, and it weighs how much? 500 kilos. My ex used to ride. I think I can't remember if she was doing the horse dancing or the jumping, but she used to do. And they bought those crazy expensive Arabic horses.
Oh, yeah,
They
Arabian
are,
Night. Yep.
yeah, they
They
are the
prance, right?
most vicious horses in the world.
Mm.
It bit her constantly, and it was shitty horse. It was yeah.
Mm.
Usually 1,000 pounds. Yeah, that's 500 kilos. Quinn Evers
They're
is the
not,
starter. He's a Texas Longhorn, but I thought no, that was I saw the Manning training facility at when I was at Tennessee University.
and don't get me wrong, I like horses. I like animals, but I like horses. A beautiful animal. I just don't want to ride one.
No, I just finished watching what was it, 18, the pre-show to the Yellowstone.
Mm-hmm.
And when I watched that,
1862?
no, not 62 because it's after the war.
Yeah.
But you see that them riding, and you think, oh, it could be so amazing. And then I remember that one of my female friends has those stupid Icelandic horses as well, and seeing her, it doesn't look quite as majestic because they have that tilt, as you call it, the way they gallop.
They prance almost.
Yeah. 1883. Yeah, that was a great show. Then I started watching the first episode of 1936 or whatever it is, and it ruined it with the end story to the 1883. I really didn't like the way. Probably it. Yeah, it could have been like I just wanted more, so that was a little bad. When I was young, my mother had a horse that was the meanest horse I've ever seen. I also had a pony named Sugar because he loved sugar cubes. I rode a horse called Clays, and I rode him because he was impossible for the ladies to control. So I got it because I was the only man doing riding classes,
Mm.
which is almost as smexy as being the only male hairdresser.
Mm. Hey, when I was a little kid, I used to take tap and ballet class. And during ballet classes, this little girl chased me around all the time. It's like, get away from me. I think, how old was I? I think I was 9 years old, 8 or 9 years old.
You found her court order on Next Crime Watch. Should do more deep dives. But no, I love watching horses. I love people. I love we are really good at the horse dancing. The Danish national team in horse dancing. For those of you who know football, Michael Laudrup's daughter is really good at horse dancing. I think it's called dressage or something. I like watching that because the woman I know with the horses, she told me about it because it was just stupid running around, and she told me, oh, this is what and that. Oh, and then it's very interesting to watch all of a sudden when you just have to figure out how it is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I like that one.
Yeah, a friend of my wife's, she had two, what are they called? Begins with an F. Frisch? I can't even think of the name. Beautiful horses.
Oh, Frisian.
Frisian,
the big,
yes.
Yeah, the big ones. Yeah.
Yep. Beautiful horses.
That's real working horses. That's the one they used to. No, was it the one they used to pull the butler?
That's a Clyde. That's
That's a
Clydesdale.
Clydesdale. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's but they are. I think we had a Danish race that they tried to bring back. It was enormous. But that was back when horses weren't for fun. It
No,
was
so
for
for
work.
work.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, you couldn't use an Arabian for anything if you needed to pull a plow.
Hmm.
So Archie's grandpa was the best so far. No, Eli was the best. He beat the Patriots twice.
Hmm.
See you later, Ozzy.
Have a good night, Ozzy.
But yeah, it's a quarter to midnight. I should get to bed as well.
Mm.
I won't promise if I wake up by a miracle at 5 in the morning, I will do my night show, but most likely I won't. But we will do something tomorrow where I will talk about the case that will start Monday. I don't want to spoil a good day today. So tomorrow, after you've been to the Walmarts and beat someone so you could get that air fryer 20% cheaper, we'll talk about a case that starts Monday. That's not that fun. Peter will be painting tomorrow at
Yep.
3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yep.
Teaching you to
Paint with just 3 colors, a winter scene. So 3 p.m. tomorrow.
grift yourself a bit.
I am. If I can remember the name of the painting I'm gonna do. It's Blue Winter, I believe. It uses only 3 colors, white, black, and blue. And it's going to be very cold. So be a nice winter scene. And then, like I said, in a few weeks, I'll put a community post on if you want to paint along with me, what to buy and what other supplies you need that you can get from around the house. Like what you can use wax paper as for your palette, so it's easy cleanup. You just curl it up and throw it away when you're done. You can even go to Home Depot to buy some cheap brushes if you want, if you don't want to try with the beginner set. But tomorrow at 3 for a winter scene. That's it. You're muted.
That's because I made you big, so I didn't want to go and annoy. Sounds like everyone should look at. I apologize. It wasn't it. Well, Andrea, you tried. Jemima will have to look it up. Remember, on Discord, write her a DM saying, "Why don't you do your job?"
Mhm.
And she will be writing me all night saying, "What the hell did you do?" It'll be almost like Jamie. But thank you so much, Jim Cox. Good night and happy Thanksgiving to the celebrators. And thank you so much for the support. Thank all of you who wanted to spend a little time with us today. I hope we gave you somewhere to hang out if no one else really was around to hang out with you, or we gave you a place to hide if too many people were around to hang out with you, or if you're like me in Europe, it's Thursday. We got cookies done, 3 cookies from one dough that you can impress all your friends with. We got Jemima visiting us, Peter A visiting us, Jamie. She didn't yell at least, so that was great. Thank you to all the guests, and thank you, Ada K. Thank you to all the supporters, and I hope you will have a wonderful Thanksgiving. No matter how bad life is, there's always something to be thankful of.
It's
If
always
nothing
turkey.
else, yeah, I was gonna say, if nothing else, that you woke up breathing this morning, because the good thing about waking up is you're not dead yet. And you should always remember, even how bad your life could be, you could be a mom of 3 who chose to get that D from a felon instead of taking care of your kids and ending up with having to ship them off to Texas because you said stupid stuff in a courtroom. Never talk in a court. It's stupid. Gracias.
What exhibit are you referring to?
I'm going to make this 100, Your Honor. 100.
100.
Because it is 100%
100%.
correct.
Objection, Your Honor. So you literally built a cannon?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
All right, I'm in love.
Go back. Please do that again. Oh, that was the cutest thing I've ever seen.
While I'm waiting for this, did you, whether it's true or not, believe that Mr. Randolph had slept with your wife?
I wouldn't care.
You wouldn't have cared?
No,
Did you believe he had slept with your wife?
no,
Did you believe he slept with your mother-in-law?
probably did. Everybody has.
So there-
Everybody has.